to another Saturday night.
Howdy, howdy.
We got a pretty good crowd here tonight already.
Indeed, indeed. Anybody new here? If so, say hi. Yeah, we'll say hi right back.
Chime back. We're friendly folks.
Yeah, we only bite a little bit, and that costs extra. So anyway, that's Baron.
That's Carolyn.
I'm not. Yeah. So welcome to another week of it. Oh, geez, what it's been 2.5 years now.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. Next May will be my 3rd year.
Yow. Yeah. So it's 30-month anniversary, as it were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool.
Yeah.
So I think in celebration of the 30-month anniversary, we need to make a cocktail.
Yes.
Because Baron's brain operates on proper lubricant.
Yep.
Proper lubricant consists of some ice. Into these.
That's right. All hail Celestia.
All hail best princess.
Yes.
Anybody says otherwise is a lunatic. All right. So we're going to do something really simple. It's just going to be a tequila lime cocktail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're almost. We're almost out. So I'm just going to finish that off. Oh wait, there's more. There we go.
This is kind of a home cooked up brain lube thing he's doing.
Well, it's a tequila lime cocktail. I mean,
right.
It's margarita's mother. Mm-hmm. This is lime juice, about that much.
Yes, that is one thing I've noticed. If you've got multiple tabs open, close them. Picardo gets a bit greedy.
When he thinks that character's Ben Franklin. Well, that's true, because after all, a bit of bandwidth saved is a bit of bandwidth earned.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I'm on the 100.
Yeah. Now, just to let folks know, yes, TeePublic did have a sale in November, and I decided that you guys have been looking at the same shirts. I've got quite a few of them, but you guys have been looking at the same shirts for a while, so I got some new shirts. I do have a Luna shirt, and I have
Nobody's perfect.
And I have a Sunset Shimmer shirt. And over the next few streams, you guys will get a chance to see those.
There we go.
Thank you.
Tequila and lime juice.
And sugar rim.
And a sugar rim. Super simple.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you. Keeps the scurvy away.
Exactly.
This is medicinal.
Mm-hmm.
Your doctor saw an interesting factoid on a YouTube historical research channel.
Yeah,
apparently,
Townsend's 18th century cooking.
Right, and apparently more sailors fell over dead because of scurvy than because of disease, starvation, or combat.
Or drowning.
Right. Mm-hmm. So again, drink your lime and your coconut. You drink them all up.
Mm-hmm. It's good for you.
Right. You know what else is good for you?
What?
Art.
It is.
Baron has been busy for the past week, so let's find out how busy.
The last 2 weeks, and this isn't everything I've been working on. This is just stuff I decided to load up.
Indeed. So let's take a look at Tweet. Woo. You apparently have a milestone.
Yes, I did. We hit 900 on Twitter, and it kind of snuck up on me because I looked over and a few weeks back and said, "No, I'm at 850. Okay, that's fine." And then it seems like I glanced over one day and said, "I'm at 898."
You better get busy.
Scrabble.
Indeed. Yeah, and you guys can put out the word, make that 1,000.
Mm-hmm. Now remember, Bettina only has a contract with Fluttershy up to 1,000. After that point, she either has to renegotiate or find some other people. Now she is actually interviewing some other folks.
Indeed. All righty. So let's see. Let's go right to. You did some studies of apple bloom. Your favorite CMC.
Mm-hmm. She's the best CMC. And this is just practicing drawing a character's different facial expressions and everything. It does really help if you do a little bit of homework occasionally. Say, well, what would the character look like if they're angry? What would the character look like if they're scared? They're laughing. They're sad. They're ill. And if you just practice doing that, and then also practice things like body language, you'll get much more plausible and lifelike illustrations.
Body language, you say?
Yep, body language. And this is Nightfall. And she is a member of Luna's Night Court. And, of course, Apple Bloom is a part of Luna's Night Court as well. And she usually only does it on the weekends. Or days when she can get, like, a pass from being out of school or showing up for school late because she has to stay up late to do it. And this is just a scene of her and Nightfall just dancing. Now, they actually do some undercover work. And that's part of the reason for the dresses.
Yeah. So speaking of the Night Court, I believe Silk Cords is a member of the court as well.
Yes, she is.
And there she is.
Yep.
She's the one who does Chinese style, aerial silk dancing, and takes it very seriously.
She also does strap dancing. I found out there's strap dancing and there's cord dancing. They are slightly different things, but she does both, and she's very, very good at it.
All right. You mentioned, well, speaking of dancing, this is an illustration for an upcoming Roan book. Speaking of Roan books, by the way, we will have an announcement about Roan, so all of you who are have been budget constrained will be very happy.
Yes.
We'll get to that in a moment.
But you're going to have to act quick.
Right. So let's see. What else do we have? Okay, here we go. Bunny.
Yes. This is a series of just sketches I'm doing. I haven't done Scoodaloo yet, but I did that series back views of the CMC as grown-up anthros, and now I'm doing the three of them in bunny suits. It got inspired by Undurpable's sketch painting he did of Tempest Shadow in a bunny suit.
Nice. Speaking of bunny suits, yeah.
And there's Apple Bloom.
Yeah, you can see the difference in physique. Yeah, I say Apple Bloom has definitely got apple bucking legs.
She's a farm girl.
She is well marbled. All right, so who else do we have here? We have. Was this a Patreon reward?
This is a Patreon reward from McClaw, who wanted me to do Callie McBriggs from the TV series SWAT Cats, which I have to admit, I never actually caught.
It was very brief, yeah.
Yeah, but apparently some people really, really loved SWAT Cats, and apparently in like Anthro fandom, Callie was the most popular character in the series.
All right, it's like we can understand why. She's like Maress from Star Trek animated series. That one's gonna turn you into a furry. Okay, this one you said was in addition to being completing the series, was inspired by a song. That is Cadence.
Yes, that's a thing for Mad Badger. And wanted me to do a picture of Princess Cadence in armor. And I've done, Celestia and Luna, and they're in kind of almost sort of classical Greco-Roman. And I did Tempest Shadow in very late 15th century Gothic. And so I decided I was going to do her more in 16th century, demi-lancer or Reiter armor. With the burgundy and everything like that, which I thought would be kind of nice because the curl of the comb on the helmet kind of mimics the mane and everything like that. It was a great way to put striping in for it.
Indeed. Just quick comments to Prao and Sakana. Robert, Clear Skies, who did Roan, he did this very unusual thing. He approached Hasbro and said, "What do I need to do to not step on your toes?"
Yep.
And they said, "Well, thank you for asking. All you need to do is don't include cutie marks, don't include the word Equestria, and say don't use any of the names of the canonical show characters. Aside from that, go for it. Show us what you come up with. We love this stuff."
Yeah.
It's amazing what happens if you just talk to them first. Oh my God. Again, the lawyers get put away, and instead it's like, "Can we have a copy? Please?"
Yeah, basically Hasbro was amazingly cool with Clear Skies. Of course, Clear Skies exercised something resembling business sense and business courtesy when he approached them. And for that reason, they were actually very, very easy to work with.
Funny how that works. You treat a lawyer like a human being, you find out that sometimes they are.
Yeah, and he said Hasbro is actually very interested in what's coming out of Clear Skies LLC now.
Nice. All right. So getting on to more new stuff, and saying yes, the Hasbro people are very aware of Baron's work, and they love it.
Yeah.
All right. So we have what I suspect is another Patreon reward.
Yep, this is. I don't see he's here yet, but this is Tebow commission, and that's his character Chandra. And Tebow, the part of the country he lives in, winter decided to cut autumn short, and they got snow ahead of schedule. And so he wanted this picture of basically his character Chandra kind of curled up on the sofa, enjoying the first snow of the year when it's still something really kind of wonderful and magical and you love it, unlike apparently after the second month when you're really sick and tired of shoveling it.
Most people don't, when they say they love rough weather, what they really love is feeling secure against it.
Yes, and having someone to be there with.
Exactly.
That they like.
Okay, apparently sometimes there are people there to be with that you don't like, and then you get this.
Yeah. This is from the one dream that Bettina and I watched one night in the staging area of my dreamscapes. And it was like watching this, Pacific Rim Matrix type movie. And this is one scene where Lyra and Bon Bon were dealing with a very large critter. And what Lyra has there is called an HK-51. It wasn't apparently actually built by Heckler and Koch, but it was developed by a company called Fleming's in the United States. And I think they built them with the hope of getting them into action movies, because that's the only reason why I could figure you'd want these things.
Yeah.
It's a .308 battle rifle with an 8.5-inch barrel. You do the math on how big your muzzle flash is going to be.
Yeah, infinite.
And your concussion. The concussion must be horrendous firing.
Oh, yeah, on the muzzle. Oh, my God.
Yeah,
that's not a practical thing.
Yeah.
But it looks cool.
Yeah, it looks perfect for an action movie with a 50-round drum and some gal in a little black dress firing this thing. And I'm actually, just for the record, I am being amazingly generous on how short of a distance I have the brass flying out of that, effectively G3. If you've watched videos of G3s firing
20, 30, 40 feet, yeah.
I, for the longest time, had a scar actually on my chest from a guy who threw hot brass down several shooting stalls and down the front of my shirt.
Yeah, a little brand that said Winchester 308 in reverse.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, and I think is this also from the same?
Yes, it is.
She's been here.
Yep, and that's Bon Bon, and both her and Lyra were working undercover, and were very unhappy that they got called away to basically explain one of their reports. And while they were gone, Pinkamena, who's basically on her own little personal crusade to find all the bad guys who are coming through the portal, came in and dealt with some folks who've been willingly dealing with the bad guys. And
that's when you call the crime scene cleaners.
Yeah, and Bon Bon was working undercover as a maid at this place.
Well, she wears it well.
Yes.
All right, so who is this Midnight Oil? We've seen her before.
Oh, this is the first time I've drawn her. Midnight Oil is another member of Luna's Night Court, along with Silk Cords and Straight Laced and Nightfall. And she kind of makes up like the core of the four mares that kind of do some of her top secret work. The same way Celestia has Phoenix and Quicksilver and Bloodfeather. Well, Luna has four of them. And the thing that's kind of amusing is that, in theory, these four mares are lower ranking than Apple Bloom is, and Apple Bloom can technically order them around, which Midnight Oil wasn't very happy about until she discovered that Apple Bloom knows Rainbow Dash really, really well, because Midnight Oil went to the performance in Cloudsdale. She saw Rainbow Dash do her dance routine.
And that was that.
And she wants to learn how to do that, too.
Yeah, I particularly like the, I wonder if Luna knows that one of the members of her court has a Luna plush that she sleeps with.
I got that Rainbow Dash plush.
A Rainbow Dash? Okay, just looking at the little crown thing.
Yeah, those are eyes.
Well, there you go.
Yes.
All right, so another one. Ooh, this one, I recognize, where this came from right away.
Yep. Yep. This
to
was...
crush the enemies, to drive them before you, and hear the lamentation of the people you shed all over.
This was actually from one of the fundraising streams we did last year on November 5th. Help raise money for Jen Blake. And one of the things I had to get out of that was a black and white drawing. I don't see his name in the Somerset. He's not. I don't see him tonight. But he wanted me to do. He gave me this kind of just general description. He wanted a wolf anthro barbarian with a sword. And
I approve.
And it just so happened that when I was reading this description, we had Basil's soundtrack for Conan the Barbarian, and excuse me, I read that, and all I could see was that image of Arnold doing that kata.
And indeed, that was back right after he was Mr. Olympia, and he was cut.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Ripped.
Yeah, and then
Conan O'Brien. No.
There you go.
Now this is a commission for Copper Cheetah. This is his OC.
Hi, Copper.
Yeah, this is OC Tenon, and
Which is a term in from mortise and tenon as a type of joinery in cabinet making.
in fact, if you look at his cutie mark, that's what he has. And he just wanted to have a general study of his character, and I thought it was kind of fun because it let me play around with remembering what I've seen from my Equestria Dreamscape, because it's a late 19th century world, so you don't have power tools all over the place. And so you use a lot of mechanical power to your advantage. And that's what I imagine Tenon's shop actually having. Kind of like the Woodwright shop, if you remember that old TV series.
Yeah, the foot actuated sewing machines, etc., can also power woodworking tools.
Yep.
All right, and we have one last little thing here. Yeah, so flogging some of your own products, Dr. Engel's leather in a spray.
Well, now, no. I don't see her in the chat. But this was for Rubber Vixen, another one of my patrons on Patreon. And she wanted to have a picture of Vipra, basically using EWT, Engel's weird technology, leather in a can. If you folks may remember back to like 2000 or so, my wife and I did a very short kind of faux infomercial commercial for leather in a can in early versions of Flash, which doesn't play anymore.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, the sensor plushes are out in force. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the uncensored one is up on Baron's DeviantArt, which you should go check out.
Or on my Patreon.
Which you should check out even better.
Mm-hmm.
So tweet there. Yep. All right. So that's old art. Mm-hmm. What are we going to do this week about new art?
Well, yeah, we have to do that because I don't think people want to sit for another 3 hours and watch me drink.
Yeah, well, not unless we're serving for them too.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I don't have that many limes, so
Yeah, and besides, it's
sorry, guys.
So much bandwidth we can get drinks down the. The lights went out. Why did that happen?
Too much brain lubricant.
Yeah. So we could. Yeah, I imagine you guys would love that. That'd be, my wife would have 3 hours of blackmail material, of which I don't see my wife's name yet in the chat.
That means it's time to rub boobies.
Yes. Yeah, cool. So I need to actually get around to posting that. I keep on forgetting, and I need to get that up there.
All right.
I'll probably put that up tomorrow. So what I'm going to be working on here initially is I'm going to give you guys a little bit of, a lesson. Mm-hmm. If you guys follow me on Twitter, and you should, you might have noticed I put up a little thing today talking about silhouette. And I'm going to discuss that a little bit because I was going back and forth with somebody online, and they were showing me their character designs, and actually their character designs were anatomically pretty bang on. But I want to switch cameras.
I say thanks, Nightwing. I got this from a vendor at a convention. I forget his name, but don't forget the glasses. Very good. Yeah, and get long sleeve, short sleeve, whatever base, and then whatever. So this got to get Best Princess here.
Yep.
Priority mail.
Yes. Ding. These are so handy for storing projects for people, and then when I'm done, I just ship them out in them. If they fit in here, of course. Yeah,
which reminds me, in the next hour, I'm going to show you a little bit about where to get really, really inexpensive, good quality frames for all your Baron's Patreon art.
Yeah. So I was talking with this person online, and they were showing me their work, and I say anatomically, their work was pretty good. They were pretty bang on. They had a pretty good feel for their design and everything. What was happening was they had very poor silhouette. The way they were posing the figure wasn't really helping them a whole lot. And silhouette was one of those things that they kind of taught me in art school, but they never explained it really clearly. It wasn't until my wife, who's an animator.
One of the great animation principles, by the way.
Yeah, is silhouette. Silhouette. Everything is about silhouette. And so what I decided I'd do is I would do some drawings to show, how silhouette works. And one of the things that I had to actually struggle against is I had to basically work against my own training, because after you've been trained to do something a certain way, do it correctly, when you decide, okay, now I want to show how to do it wrong, it can actually be kind of tricky. And so I had to work at. So what I got here is we got, let's sort of tack that down so it doesn't go anywhere. So I did a drawing here of a carousel. And just kind of nice rearing pose and everything. And the whole idea about a silhouette is if you take this and then just draw an outline.
Yeah, eliminate all the surface detail.
Right, and what's happening in the interior. Just look at like the negative space around it. Can you clearly see what is going on? So, here you can clearly see, okay, there's our legs, here's our pony. You can get a possible rough idea what the character is, of which that's one of the things that's really neat about MLP and FIM is that Friendship is Magic, they've done a really good job on the character designs. You can draw silhouettes of any of the main 6. You can tell exactly who they are. It's one of the reasons why AJ always wears her hat, because her hat is one of the things that contributes to her silhouette. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to do a bad silhouette. So I started drawing it, and I got about halfway through, and I realized, well, okay, I did this one down here. I this leg is not separated out. This leg's kind of crossing over here. I got my tail kind of coming back here, so it's kind of messing up. But it's still, you can still figure out, yeah, this is a pony. It's rearing. She's smiling. It still made sense. So I was like, okay, I got to actually really go and, try harder. So I did. So I went through, and I did this one right here. Now, once again, if you look at it, the proportions was correct. Barrel length, leg length, neck length, okay, location, eyeballs and jaw are all in the right place and everything. But if you look at this isn't as interesting of a design. So, especially when you see it here as a silhouette, you can't really make out her head. I could have done things. I could have lowered this leg even more so, and this would have just turned into one blob. I could have switched the tail around here and gotten rid of this little tiny gap right here, which would have made the tail. I could have even made this worse than it was. But, this is, an example of a bad silhouette. Everything is technically correct on the character, but the way I'm posing the character is not helping it. And as Catspaw did point out, silhouette is a great way to avoid tangents. In fact, on this one right here, when I was working on it, initially, and I'm going to explain what a tangent is. Tangent, the classic example is the telephone pole growing out of someone's head in a photograph. And you don't realize there's an object either crossing over or crossing behind or crossing in front of something, and it creates either visual confusion or just unintended humor.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Is that his? No, that's a leg.
That's a leg, right, exactly. So, but you can also get tangents of a different sort, and you can get a tangent where you can get a series of shapes that are all kind of repeating themselves in a way that's not really benefiting the picture. And in fact, when I was working on this picture, you can't see it now because I've erased the line, but originally I had her tail kind of coming down like this.
Exactly, paralleling the hind quarter.
Right. So that, and you do that, and you do that, and you start getting this thing, and it starts getting this repetition, and it starts looking kind of either dull, boring, or unnatural. So I deliberately moved her tail out to change that line. I've still got this curve, and you can technically even take this line and go and move it around, and it would still fit in here. But now it's out, and it's not so obviously mirroring.
Right. You have taper, and that gives depth, and that gives yeah.
Exactly. There is a guy who does a series of video game reviews, Zero Punctuation, Yahtzee.
Oh, yes. Ben Yahtzee.
Yeah, Yahtzee. Hilarious videos, not safe for work. He has definitely some use of the language. But he did at one point make an observation which I found very fascinating. I can't remember the name of the game. And of course, Yahtzee's a writer. He's not a visual artist. But he described this one character. He said it looked like the artist started drawing and never stopped. Yeah. And it did. It was just this collection. If you drew a silhouette of this character from this game, it's just this jangled mass. You couldn't even tell it's a person. And I thought that was an excellent description of good silhouette versus bad silhouette. And of course, he was making the argument that good silhouette is very important in a game because it tells you what you're up against. As he points out, he had his little imp character going, "I'm an imp," and then he had another one going, "I'm an imp of a bazooka launcher." And I'm going, "You really want to recognize the bazooka launcher?"
Yeah, that does tend to communicate a little bit about what's going on in the picture.
Yeah. You take that one out first.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Kill the healer.
yeah, kill the healer.
Kill the coffee.
Especially apparently in Team Fortress 2.
Yep.
To take care of the medic. He's
Right.
keeping everyone else up and going. Oh, and a dragon. All right, so we're going to do a little playing around with this. Now, sometimes you're going to have a pose that just won't, will give you kind of an odd silhouette. Carol, can you do me a favor? Could you bring up the one picture of, actually, the one of Apple Bloom in the bunny suit and the one of Sweetie Belle?
Okay, let's see. Reference. Let's take just a quick second here.
Uh-huh. Because you can also use your silhouette to help kind of describe a character's personality. Once again, another thing from popular culture, if you've seen the anime Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex Second Gig, there is a very, very brief, it only is up on screen for maybe 5 seconds, but during the opening credits, they have this lineup of all the members of Section 9, and I would love to get a poster of that lineup because you can just look at those characters and you can tell exactly what their personality is like, how they're thinking, exactly. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful bit of character study work. Yeah, so if you look at, Sweetie Belle's there, Apple Bloom's a little bit better. You can get better feel. But if you were to take Sweetie Belle's and just draw a silhouette around it, it's not necessarily the strongest one in the world. Yeah, you're on legs. Okay, yeah, I can figure out it's a female with bunny ears. So it's not, the absolute you have to have that, but it can add a lot. Of course, I've created a very closed silhouette with Sweetie Belle there.
Yeah, the very demure.
Very kind of slightly bashful.
In the knees, where the arms are relative to the torso.
Right.
Even where the tail is.
Yeah, Apple Bloom's is a bit more
open, aggressive.
Yeah. This is actually one
energetic.
reason why it's hard to draw the princesses, especially Luna and Celestia. It's very hard to get a good silhouette of them because they have so much stuff going on that you end up covering part of the head, or the wings cover part of the move of the spine. They are not easy characters to draw.
Celestia, the one-eyed, yeah.
Right, or even Luna. Cadence isn't quite as bad, and of course Twilight isn't. She hasn't gotten the total freaky hair yet, but freaky mane. But they're tricky characters to draw, and that's part of the reason why, because they're not easy ones to get good silhouettes on. As it is doing Anthrobipedal Pegasi is not easy.
What do you do with those damn wings?
Exactly. When I was doing the 3 CMC in the swimsuit from behind, the hardest one I really had to think about how I wanted to do the pose was Scootaloo, because I had to figure out how to work around those wings. I still need to do the bunny suit of her, and once again, I have to think how to work around the wings to make the pose look good. So, you can have all kinds of things. So I'm just going to do actually some real quick silhouette stuff here. I wish I'd actually brought like a Sharpie marker or something like that. That would have been a smart thing to do. I could have filled things in quicker.
I can go nail. You'll get round.
Yeah, as long as it has not too gigantic of a point.
Yeah, just a standard.
Right.
I will be right back. I'm going to go fetch a Sharpie because that's the kind of guy I am.
Yeah. So I'm gonna just do a little quick thing. Series of exercises on silhouette here. One other thing here. Also remember, if your hips are going this way, your shoulders are going that way. They go opposite directions for balance. And like I said, we're working really fast and quick here. This isn't meant to create any kind of masterpiece. I just want to show you guys how you can convey a lot about a character
Sharpie is sharped.
Thank you. Now this is kind of a combination of an open, what we call open and closed silhouette, because I've got part of the body here which is kind of shut off by this hand, but not completely. And then we've got, it's usually easier to see. You can actually, if you stop trying to look at what's inside here, you're just looking at Sharpie buzz. We might want to open that door, actually.
Yeah, a little warm.
No, just Sharpie buzz.
Ah,
Oh yes, having back memories of graphic design in the 1980s.
right after I get my fucking, of course.
And we get all the wonderful, wonderful chemicals we worked with. Oh boy, howdy.
Xylene-based markers, my favorite.
Yeah, go destroy that nervous system of yours. You had a nervous system? Like I say, this is hardly anything to...
I think that's just alcohol-based or isopropyl-based.
Yeah.
Yeah, which ain't so bad.
No, it's not. Actually, something I do want to do probably next year is do a demo for folks showing how you can draw with powdered charcoal and isopropyl alcohol. You can actually do some interesting effects with that. So,
Don't drink your markers.
no. And when I do that, I'll have to do a public servicing about, this is...
There we go. I'm back. Now, as I remember, I used to use some xylene-based markers, back when I was doodling around, and they, excuse me, my apologies to anybody whose eardrums I just destroyed, but then again, you won't be hearing that apology, so it doesn't matter.
Type it out in the chat.
There you go. The xylene-based markers, after I was using those for a while, I was getting aggro. I was like, oh, next person that's talk to me, I'm going to rip their spleens out and I'm going to
Yep.
pate out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, they actually made me feel hyper-aggressive, grouchy, and angry.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, I finally identified what was going on with that. It's like, oh, that's xylene. Yeah, it can do that. So
Yep.
that was when I switched over to Prismas.
Yep. Now, here's an example of what I call very much a closed silhouette. If you're just looking at this from the front, and if you want to have another example that you guys might be aware of about a genre that your silhouette can matter so much, think of all your superhero.
The heroic poses.
Exactly. In fact, there is a book. It's very dated and very politically incorrect by today's standards. That came out in the late 80s, early 90s called How to Be a Superhero and Save the Universe in 30 Days or Your Money Back. And one of the things they had a section on, they had a whole page, and most of it talked about how do you pose? Because the last thing you want to do is have the villain see you silhouetted by the moonlight doing something that is kind of either dorky or embarrassing, or just not looking terribly imposing.
Yeah, that does tend to get one slightly mocked. And, there's nothing that a superhero hates more than being mocked by their nemesis.
Oh, yeah, and especially in this day of social media and everything where, great, Magneto just posted that up on Facebook. It just got,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a con. I was wondering about the effect of media toxicity on artists' visions. I take it you mean,
nervous system.
Well, yeah, the weird stuff that comes crawling out of their psyches.
It probably can.
So in other words, was Van Gogh drinking out of a, excuse me, Van Gogh, was he drinking out of, I don't know, a lead-bearing pewter cup all the time?
Might have.
Yeah, would that have anything to do with it?
Also, some of the paints they used back then, some of the pigments were very
Nasty.
Yes.
Well, some of the ones today are very nasty. Are
Yeah.
very
Cadmiums and cobalts, folks, don't get them in your blood system.
No, you won't like it.
And whatever you do, please don't chew on your paint brushes. Please.
Or if you do, please do so on YouTube so we can watch.
Yeah, I had a lady years ago come in the University of Art. Oh, which you need to do our hourly duty.
Indeed.
And she could not remember the name of the color of paint she worked with. She could only remember by what it tasted like.
Delicious.
And I informed her about, that's really not good for your health. She said, I've been doing it for years and I'm okay. And then she proceeded to turn around telling me about all the things that were wrong with her health.
Gee, how many of those can be traced back to?
Yeah.
All right, so let me see. I'm going to go ahead and undo that. And I'm going to undo that. And I'm going to put that there. And so again, if your folks are concerned about toxicity in art materials, well, where can we get some art materials? Well, funny you should ask.
And people you can talk to about the toxicity of art materials
Right.
and how to use them safely.
Right, so we would like to take this time to say thank you to our sponsors. That's University Art, who have been kind enough to sponsor Baron in the form of many art materials and an occasional loan of some of their employees as guest artists. University Art is a high-end framing and art supply store with branches in Sacramento and Redwood City and San Jose, California. All of their employees are very knowledgeable. If you ask them, what brush works best for this, or what paint should I use for that, they will be able to give you a good, accurate, informed answer. They'll also be able to tell you which ones are poisonous. Yeah, there you go. But again, they do have one of the best framing shops in California. They have handled original Albert Durer, one of the fathers of the Renaissance, original Rembrandt, original original Nobel Prize award letters. Their framing shop has it going on. And again, we want to say thank you to them for not only for that, but also for putting up with Baron for 20 years.
Exactly.
Indeed. So, and occasionally they lurk the channel. So, hi Mike, hi Jeff.
And if you folks follow me on Twitter, you will know that I was in there today with Dusty Cat. We were getting some work taken care of and some things arranged.
Yeah, I think he's getting some Andy Price original comic book pages done.
And while we were there, I discovered, I was unaware of this, but the guest I had on a couple of weeks ago, Jaya King, was there teaching a workshop in the store. So I got a chance to talk to her and took some pictures of her workshop and put that up on my Twitter.
Indeed. And again, we're going to have Jaya back in, I think, early March, I think was the...
Yep.
Right. She's going to, melt more wax with blowtorches and,
yeah, she really
molest
loves
my wall again.
Yeah, and she really loves being on the show.
Yeah.
And she really likes how people have been...
Hold that thought, Ander.
What's that?
Listening.
I get his headphones on.
Okay. Dusty actually, he rents a room from me. He is like one room over. He has his headphones on because he's editing the audiobook that he's working on.
Yep, working on his next book.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there's a question. Army says, what's lucid dreaming? Well, it's a soap opera in your brain.
Yeah. The classic definition of lucid dreaming is to be asleep and to be in effectively REM sleep, and you know that you are in REM sleep. And so the classic sense is that you can control your dream and do what you want. I want to fly. I want to be a butterfly. I want 2 moons in the sky and big pink bubbles floating around, whatever. That's the classics of lucid dreaming. I'm a lucid dreamer. I've been a lucid dreamer all my life, but I'm different than probably a lot of other folks in that I don't really try to control exactly what's happening, but I can recognize that I'm dreaming, and things that happened in one dream will often, if I go back to that same, what I call dreamscape, if something happened like I fell down and scraped my knee in the night before, if I go back there and I wake up, I'll wake up and I'll have a Band-Aid on my knee because my knee's still scraped up.
It's a serial. It's a soap opera or a series of soap operas because you have several in your head that you can take up where the previous episode left off.
Yeah, and I have one that's in Equestria. I have one in what's called Ander, which I need to get some postings. Some things have been happening there now.
Oh, very nice.
Yes, and that's actually the longest one. I've been having that one since 1995. And that's actually an alternate universe, late 14th century Northeast Africa city-state.
There we go. Nice set of silhouettes there. Can you pick out which ones are strong and which ones are troublesome?
Mm-hmm. Which ones may be a little bit vain.
Yeah.
Actually, let's get another piece of paper. I want some more rope. Do another one. Boop, boop. Boop, 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 boop. I need another piece of paper. Wrong folder. Hang on here. So it's fun. It keeps me entertained, and Patina is a character from that. She was originally a character I created for a comic. She was supposed to be just a one-shot character. It was just to walk on camera, deliver some information, collect your paycheck, and be gone. And that lasted all about 20 seconds. Also, it's spelled differently too, Ander. A-N-D-U-R.
Hello, Callanan. Yeah, what Baron is demonstrating right now is good silhouettes, bad silhouettes.
Or how silhouettes can you can tell
Right.
a lot about a character just by looking at their silhouette. And to give us an idea what you're seeing here, this is some,
Yeah. Can you pick out which ones are good and which ones are bad?
or which ones are strong characters,
Yeah.
which ones are vain characters, which ones are,
Yeah. Yeah, Matt Badger, that's what happens when you have an actor who is also the director.
Yeah, to a certain extent, yes. And she has also now been popping up in our people's.
Yeah. No problem. I think infested is the right word, yes. Can't turn around, that's, tripping over one of them. What you doing? What you doing? What you doing? What you doing? Can I have that? I want that. Can I have that? That looks good. Can I eat that? Oh, I already ate that. Well, can I have some too? No, you need to make some for me. And that's just like the first 2 minutes of your day in the market.
The Phoenix.
Yeah. Thanks.
We like dates.
Yeah, exactly. And a reward for a job well done is, dates as long piled up in a stack as long as your ear.
Yep. Can we have them side by side, not end to end?
No.
Can I use my right ear? I think it's longer.
It's time for another good idea, bad idea. Good idea. Practicing silhouettes in front of a mirror in a ballet studio. Bad idea. Practicing silhouettes on a boat in a shark-infested sea.
Yes. Well, actually, though, there's an example of bad silhouette. Apparently, one of the theories about why great whites occasionally attack surfers is that they're looking up and they see the silhouette of the surfboard.
It looks kind of dolphinish.
Or a seal-like.
Yeah.
Especially like a sea lion, and the surfer's arms dangling over the side, and they go.
No police crime scene silhouettes yet? Oh, I don't know. Some of these poses are criminal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it looks like a man made of tape was murdered here.
Yes.
Yeah, it looks like that person's pulling their hair out in frustration.
Hey, see? Now, once again, this is how you can.
Yeah.
Or, what are you? Stop it!
What are you doing, man?
You fat, bloated sack of protoplasm! I'll kill you!
I kill you all. I kill you so much.
Another example.
Ahmed, the frustrated artist. Oh, wait a minute.
Another example of using silhouettes to your advantage. I have not seen any of the new Bond movies, but for years they would always have in the opening credits the whole thing with the silhouettes of like Bond running around or the Bond girls running around, and so another example of using silhouette. I'll have some fun with this.
Hello, hello, horse, horse. Hi, hi. What's up? What's up is that Baron is demonstrating, differences in how you pose your character and the effect that this has on the character's silhouette, and why that matters.
Yes, it's not just getting the arms the right length and the the torso in the right place and the joints going in the right direction. You also need to make certain that you have your characters posed in a way that even if all you can see is the outside shape, you have some idea maybe what the heck is going on in the picture. Especially like in MLP, how they've done a really great job with the main six. You can just look at outlines and go, that's Fluttershy, that's Rainbow Dash, that's Twilight, that's Pinkie Pie, that's Rarity. I mean Rarity especially, Rarity with that mane and tail. And actually, Dory made an observation. Sometimes your context of two silhouettes together can change, because now suddenly this person doesn't like they're here tearing their hair out. It's like, no, I didn't do it. No, yes, you did. Confess you did it. I know you did it. So that can also have an impact of which silhouette you end up choosing. It's not necessarily a silhouette, but there is a after-school daycare center that Cat's Paw and I, when we go on our walks, often go by, and they position these two very poorly done illustrations of a little boy and a little girl, and they're like playing with, if I'm quite honest, it looks like they're playing with bowling balls. And the way they have posed it, the little boy has his arm cranked back like he's gonna really like throw and like loose this ball, but it looks like, based on how they pose the two figures, that he's going to let go of this ball and just clobber this girl in the head with it. So it makes for a great bit of accidental humor. As Catspaw puts it, stand still, Susie, it'll be over in just a moment. Soon you'll know peace.
Person one, oh no, disco pose. Person two, disco pose.
Yeah.
You did the thing at the place and the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're about 5 minutes out from our first break of the evening. I don't know if there's anybody new here tonight, but if not, just to let them know, we do take a 5-minute break every hour on the half hour. So 6:30, 7:30, and 8:30 p.m. Pacific. We take 5-minute breaks.
Mm-hmm.
Afterwards, when we come back, you were going to do a Patreon reward. You
Yeah,
said?
I'm going to do a workout Patreon reward afterwards. I mean, I've got a whole bunch of Patreon rewards already finished. But, there's always more.
Yep.
And I need to get caught up on some folks. So that's what I'm going to do.
Wait. Breaks on the hour. After traffic on the 10s. 1,000 times a week, KCBS.
Yes.
On the 8s. Disco pose or bad attempt at walk like an Egyptian. Actually, I remember an old old cartoon. We're talking like 1938, 39. It's one of those early ones where the whole cartoon was, you know, the neon signs come to life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's like, you know,
Well, what's the Times Square by chance?
yeah,
Yeah.
That was one of the all-time classics.
Yep.
Yeah. Second pose, walk like an Egyptian. King Tut. He's my favorite honky.
Born
Honky
in
Tut.
Arizona, moved to Babylonia, King Tut. Steve Martin.
Yep. He's still around, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, about a silhouette of four ponies playing Twister. Just
Yeah.
grab a handful of black paint and slap it onto the, yeah. And then paint a cutie mark on it. Some art in the style of the Egyptian pictographs in the Somnambulist Temple. First figure has just learned he's going to be turned over to Vlad Tepes for punishment. But don't worry, it'll happen after dinner. Well, what's for dinner? Shish kebab?
Yeah.
Shashlik. All right, so for the Patreon reward, whose Patreon reward are you gonna work on?
I'm going to work on Jarrell's.
Because Jarrell is there. Hello, Jarrell.
Yeah, and it's like he's got kind of an interesting idea, and I want to play around a bit. I'll get up to a certain point. I'm probably going to have to finish it when I get home, but I get the bulk, the meat and the potatoes in.
As it were.
Oh, but what is for dinner tonight?
I'm not 100% sure. I know it involves mushrooms because it usually does.
And I know there's an awesome looking chocolate sheet cake with
Right.
chocolate orange icing.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. It's a jambalaya.
Ooh, I can go with that.
Jambalaya. Yeah. Yeah. So Veronica back had the spicy andouille sausages and the shrimp and the rice, and it's like, yeah, it's gonna be a proper jambalaya.
Right.
Crawfish pie, pinky
See here,
pie.
it's like 6
every day. Oh. So tonight I'm going to see my
Another
cherry.
example of a silhouette. If you've driven across this great country of ours, you probably have seen hundreds of times. Is
Yes. Because no one rides for free.
yep, the classic. Crumb bumper mud
yeah,
flap.
Cash, grass, or art. Nobody rides for free.
Mm-hmm. And at home, in fact, I even posted a picture on Twitter again recently. I found in my collection of art materials, I got a real French curve. And the original French curves actually were based off of stylized female figures, except that they had kind of altered certain things so that they had certain curves to get certain angles for drawing. But I have one. It looks like some 1950s pinup silhouette.
Oh, the classic Vargas girl?
Yeah. I mean, I've got it. It's a classic. I picked it up years ago. I still haven't got it in plastic. I hung on to it because I was afraid if I ever pulled down and showed someone, oh, you made that yourself. Nope. Here's it. Still in the packaging. Just as it was the day I bought it. I don't have a need for it, but I just picked it up because it was just terribly amusing and Bettina giggled.
You'll have French curves, thus smudge enough. Draw me like one of your French curves.
Yes. Yeah, Smudge knows about it. She thinks it's hilarious.
Yeah, there you go. It's like, oh. Aren't going for armpit tickle. Number 3 is fascinating. I've never seen someone getting bullied with such finesse and skill.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you can draw one character. Oh, well, this is what's happening. Then you can draw another character. Oh no, wait a minute, that's not what's happening. This is the scene that's happening, and you can stack these things up, and you can get. So that's another thing to keep in mind is how you pose your characters next to each other, even if you're drawing them with a certain facial expression. Sometimes you can end up sending a secondary, like a subliminal message that might confuse your viewer if you haven't got their silhouettes working correctly.
Right up there with the say with the comic book letterer's favorite sound effect. Flick.
Yep.
Write out the word flick, F-L-I-C-K, in capital letters, and then tell me what it actually well, don't tell me what the word actually looks like.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. We're up there with the explosion bathroom.
Yes. Well, that was because for probably DC had a thing where they didn't allow the word bathroom to be used.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, oh God, the comics code days, you know, and there's still some, you know, blue noses trying to bring that back, but
okay, so there we are. So there you have it. You know, 8.
yeah. So again, is the mud flap girl a good silhouette or a bad silhouette? Does it read very, very plainly? Does it communicate exactly what the pose is? You know, what type of person it is, etc. You know, is it iconic and recognizable? Yeah, I would say that's a pretty strong silhouette.
Yep. And actually, here's the question. It's not a person, but at least for in the U.S., they still draw for automobiles. You'll see, like, you know, the swervy road or icy road, and you'll get this.
Right. The weird, you know.
Like, no one's built cars that look like this in 50 years.
Not even Citroën.
So
well, maybe Citroën.
But if you're going down the road and you go by one of these signs really fast and see it kind of tilting outside and a little like that, you'll, oh, slippery road.
Yeah.
It reads. That's and the people who designed this iconography for these road signs, that's what they want you to know. They want you to be able to read that and instant go, I need to be on my watch out. The road could be slippery. That's what it needs to be. So I'm going to switch cameras now.
Indeedy.
Okay, so I hope folks found that interesting. I want
Education.
Yeah,
you get some.
I'm going to be expanding this and some other things a bit more on my Patreon. A little bit more of like a written essay. Of course, if you guys want to, you can always go back and rewatch this part of the video in the archive, or on the Smudge Marks Engel Works. We're going to have it up as part of our YouTube channel, so you can see it there. And if you have any other questions, you can always just drop me a note. I do listen to these things and try to reply back in some kind of timely fashion. So we're going to take a 5-minute break, get up and stretch. You should get up and stretch too, and then we come back. We will get to doing more artwork.
Indeedy. Catch you
guys
in
at 5. Okay.
Hey.
Welcome back. And
I see a clear skies.
Yes. Yes. Clear Skies is in the chat. Clear Skies is the creator of the Roan RPG.
Indeedy.
And this weekend, Veterans Day weekend, he is doing something very, very special. In fact, Clear Skies, is it possible that you could throw up in the chat the link to the drive-through RPG coupon thing so people can know? Because Friday, Saturday tonight, and tomorrow, the PDF version of Roan, the rulebook, is 50% off at drive-through RPG. Knock $10.
Yep. Cut and paste us some URLs. Do it.
Come on, Clear Skies, make yourself some. Yes, it's Celestia T-shirt night.
Indeed.
When I cough into my hooves, I like to touch stuff and shake as many hooves as possible.
Yeah, spread the good news. Yes.
Well, Frank, we're not going to do a kickstart for the next Roan book until Robert, say Clear Skies, learned a few things doing this, and one of them is
Step 1, finish it.
Yeah, he wants to have the complete book finished,
edited, print ready. Yeah.
Laid out, and he wants to know exactly what art assets he needs to get done to make that happen.
Heretic. Oh. Lunatic.
Well,
unicorn.
Of course, Apple Bloom would go, but she's my favorite princess. I like them all, but she's the princess I get my paycheck from.
Well, that ain't favorite. That's most useful. Yeah. Well, by the way, before we get to drawing, I want to take just a quick minute. I want to call attention to folks the fact that if you get Baron's artwork, from a Patreon award or something, you're going to want to protect it. You're going to want to hang it.
Mm-hmm.
Amazon.
Sakana has a point there, though. You might.
Well, okay, I'll grant that. I'll grant that.
Anyway.
Amazon has these really nice. This is real wood frame. That's real glass, not not like just like some cheap polyester film. Let's say with hangers on the back for for either this way, whoop, or this way, bing, that are $6 each. It's from a company called Craig Frames. So if you want to, it's 8.5 by 11. They're called certificate frames.
Mm-hmm.
So again, if you want to, protect and hang your artwork, these are a real deal.
Mm-hmm. How much are they for a 4-pack?
$24.
$24, $6 a pop, folks. Yes, they're not, something that you would want to get your Congressional Medal of Honor, award. But if you just want something, I need to get this stuff framed, I need to get this stuff up in the future.
Well, it is real. They are real wood.
They're real glass. Yeah, it's not some weird press.
Yeah. It is my clerical outfit. Amen.
Yes.
We praise Celestia. We give thanks for her blessings and her flanks.
Amen. Or maybe Cat's Paw, if you could do it. If you could have maybe go through, since you've sent me the link a couple of times, if you could post the link in the chat for the Roan RPG drive-through coupon thing, if you could put that up, that would be really, really helpful for any folks who might be interested.
Whoop. Let's see. Okay, I'll dig up the Amazon link for the frames and paste it in there during the drawing. Speaking of drawing, what you gonna do?
Well, I'm gonna work on at least one of my Patreon rewards. I got a whole bunch of them done this week, but of course I got a whole bunch of patrons. So I'm gonna be working on Jurels. Oh, no, there you are, generic avatar just put it. Thank you very much.
Whoop. There you go, Jurel. Okay.
Yeah. So, by the way, someone says that you're obviously a fake because it has such an incredibly mundane, quiet, subdued shirt.
I am not a changeling. My name is Steve. I am Steve the Changeling.
Yeah.
Oh, gee, I'm just going to be the leader here. Yeah.
Yeah, Orca, I really do. They have been working off and on with. Who's that? Really?
Hey, Samurai.
It's Samurai. Okay, that guy, Roy Blue Letter. Can't read.
DJ Amara BH Samurai.
Okay, hey. Glad you could drop by.
Hi, Deej.
Are you new here? I don't remember.
I think I've seen you once or twice.
Okay, well, if you're new, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. So yeah, I'm gonna be working on. No. very, very simple. Okay.
Yep.
So I'm gonna be working on Jurels.
I like the first answer better.
Not too bad. So by the way, I need more brain lubricant.
You do.
So load me up.
Alrighty.
Okay, and thank you, Catspaw, for putting those up in the chat for folks.
More brain lube. Let me switch over to the drawing view real quick here.
All right, and I will switch my glasses here in just a moment, folks. I'm just getting stuff taped down, so don't get all huffy and bent out of shape.
That's my job. Barry, you didn't change your glasses. Oh my God,
You're gonna go blind.
Your mom warned you about that. Don't sit so close to the TV.
Yes. Alrighty.
That's a drive-in RPG.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Army.
Yeah, Orca, I've seen that once. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Ethical succubus. I need that T-shirt.
Yeah.
I would describe that as being patina. Sometimes.
Now I'm just doing one shot of tequila, one shot or so of, maybe a little bit more than that, of lime juice. And a little bit of simple syrup, maybe half a shot, maybe a shot, yeah, about that much. A little bit of simple syrup. All it is equal parts water and sugar. Boil the water, drop in the sugar, stir till it's dissolved. Very easy way to add sweetness to a drink without getting, sugar piled up in like silt on the bottom of your cocktail.
Yeah.
Alrighty, shuka. All right.
Jarrell, question for you. On your unicorn here, I know you want to have like the arms to be prosthetic. Did you want the legs to be also? All 4 limbs, or just like the arms? Or a mix mash? Maybe say like 1 arm prosthetic and 1 arm...
Senor Baron.
Oh, thank you. I'll give you a very good tip.
Buy low, sell high.
Both arms and legs. Okay.
There we go. Alrighty. Like 30-30.
Alrighty. That's
Like-
better. That's better.
Like.
Do you want him to be as beefy as 30-30? Or a little bit slimmer?
Yeah. Drive-in is the opening of the Flintstones, and they're going to the drive-in to see the Dungeons and Dragons movie from 2000 with Jeremy Irons. Oh, a real horror film. That you
Yeah.
The movie that killed a career. More classic unicorn Slender, yeah.
Right. Okay, that's what I thought, but
Yeah.
I have you here in the chat. Better to know than to assume.
Yep. Audio sorted itself out, but there's hugely Picardo seems to have more latency tonight. About a 40-second delay is about what I'm seeing. At least on the downstairs monitor session. So yeah. Picardo is a victim of its own success.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, but I was very happy to see that Patreon secured a whole bunch of new funding.
Yeah. I think that somebody said they were an acquisition target for somebody.
They might be. Of course, they've been acquiring some folks themselves.
Yeah. But yeah, Patreon just got a huge round of funding, and that just shows that there is a place in the world for this.
Yeah, and Patreon has been amazing for. I mean, I would not be able to do what I'm doing. 2.5 years ago, I would not have been able to leave my day job if it hadn't been the fact that Patreon exists and that my patrons have been so supportive of me. Every time I do a stream, I do this little pitch, but it is true. Without them, I could not do this. And if you enjoy watching me,
See you later, Nightwing.
good night. If you enjoy seeing my work and everything, you enjoy how much stuff I'm able to create. Well, the reason why I can create so much is because I get to be able to do this full time.
Oh.
And so if you want to be able to see more, you want to assure that I can keep creating more, then keep that in mind.
Yeah, Webster, there were some rumors going around that Patreon is going to say, "Oh, no adult material," and they sent out an email to all of the creators and
Yeah.
said, "No, that's not true. Just don't do anything that breaks the law."
Yeah.
And there are some jurisdictions in which depictions of underage characters, even though it's just a drawing, in sexual situations, is illegal. There are some jurisdictions where contact between those of two-legged variety and four-legged variety, even though it is a drawing, is nonetheless illegal. They say, just don't do that. Don't do any threatening artwork. Say no matter how much you might want to, do not do artwork of our glorious orange-skinned, tiny-handed leader, getting impaled on a spike.
Yeah.
Nothing that's going to get you in legal trouble. Otherwise, go right ahead.
Yeah.
This is part of what we're for.
Yeah, I mean, they support all kinds of projects. Initially, when I first started, we're getting a Patreon, going, wow, I wonder how long they're going to be allowed to keep that account up. And then I started reading it, because being a Patreon member, I get letters from the CEO and from the marketing, and I've actually written them, and they've gotten back to me. And yeah, they're really, really cool about this stuff,
Yeah. Yeah, but Webster, the real summary that Patreon was saying is, guys, don't worry.
Yeah.
You know, people who are that far out on the edge and skirting with the edge of the law, you know you're doing that. You know, but that's like 1/1000000000 of 1% type of thing. So don't worry about it. You know, you'll still be able to go see Jay Naylor's artwork. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only thing you have to do is you have to.
Generic. No, he didn't. Yeah. Didn't the Patreon president say something along the lines of no porn? No, he didn't.
He did not.
That was just a rumor.
No.
That was an incorrect rumor. Again, if you actually have a Patreon page, you would have gotten an email that said, you know, don't listen to that. That's just somebody blowing smoke.
Yep. It was. It's a complete load of kapooey.
Yep.
And
yeah.
Let's put it this way: the only thing you have to do is, if you're going to post material that is NSFW, you have to state that. You have to click a little button that says, "I post stuff that is maybe stuff you don't want to look at while your boss is leaning over your shoulder."
Yeah.
I have that tripped, no problem. That picture of Vipra I had tonight,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, can you do full frontals? Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you do full frontals being exercised? Well, as long as the characters are of age. Sure.
yeah.
Put it behind the NSFW tag.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's some people who have actually 2 patrons. They have one Patreon for, this is the work I do, regular, and then this is stuff I do that is, this is my naughty stuff. And they'll create like 2 patrons, so that if you have patrons go, I'm not really interested in that kind of stuff, and you have folks, I am interested in that kind of stuff, you can even break it out that way for your patrons. So, you know, they're incredibly flexible. One question for you, Jarrell, on the prosthetic limbs. How much like real limbs do you want them to look, or do you want them to look more kind of high-tech-ish, obviously, you know, not...
There we go. Yeah, the Hasbro Mattel thing. Hasbro has been doing extremely well financially.
Including ponies.
Yeah, including ponies, including a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a stockholder, so I get their prospectus. Mattel has been circling the drain, so they have become an attractive acquisition target for Hasbro. The question is, does Hasbro want to also assume Mattel's debts and liabilities? Because if you acquire the good part of the company, you also acquire the bad parts.
I need to actually jump on and do something here.
Yeah. You know, that and Mattel took forever to get rid of the idea of, you know, wasp wasted, you know, math is hard. Barbie was not a good thing anymore, and they clung to it, you know, tenaciously, and it hurt them.
Okay, now here's one question, Jarrell. Do you want them to have like really like 5 fingers, or do you want it to look more like, you know, obviously mechanical manipulators? I guess that'd be the best way. Do you want this to actually look like he has real fingers like 3030 has, or do you want it to look more like, you know, one of those, you know, 1930-ish almost type prosthetic limbs?
Says high-tech-ish, more so than 3030.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah.
So it's a stylistic thing that's kind of, you know.
Yeah. More like fingers. Yeah.
Okay, more fingers. Okay, all right, good. Now I'm heading in the right direction. Because you could have something that looks very high-tech, like some of the modern track and field running limbs, which don't look anything like a real person's. So we're going for something from that.
Hasbro investors talk about the idea of an MLP movie number 2, but just talk again. They're going to see how it all settles out. Remember, the primary purpose of the MLP movie is not to make a whole lot of money at the box office. Well, that would be nice. It's to sell toys.
And they did make back their budget.
Oh yeah, and they made Lionsgate happy, even though there was, you know, that leak of the film, you know, in advance. But the primary purpose is to generate interest in the brand and to sell. Yeah, and to sell, you know, new toys, you know, Shadow Tempest toys, you know,
Yes.
people already had all the other MLP stuff, and it's working.
Yep.
You know, in other words, it is doing exactly what Hasbro hoped it would do. So why wouldn't you do it again? Yeah. So yeah, the movie financial success. Yes, it's made back its money and a decent profit, and it's selling toys which are making a big profit. You know, so hell yeah, you're going to do it again. You're going to do it some more. Surprised there hasn't been a Michael Bay Hot Wheels movie. There was a Hot Wheels movie a while ago.
Yeah. And please don't mention that name. It makes me ill.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the other thing is that somebody else, might make a Hot Wheels movie, but Bay has become more and more difficult to work with, and less and less interested in listening to his investors, i.e. the people that write the checks, i.e. the real bosses, and more about listening to himself, and that makes it difficult to secure financing, even if you have a track record of making movie. People still want to have some control over the intellectual property they're putting in your hands.
They're going to give you $200 million to make a film. Yeah, they get to have a say.
There was a Hot Wheels movie. It was called Fast and Furious.
I thought that was the Tyco slot car.
I like your logic, Callanan. If they have 9 Fast and Furious movies, I see no problem with the equal number of pony movies. I mean,
yes.
come on.
Or at the very least, equal number of seasons.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A local brony rented the whole thing. When it first showed up here in the Bay Area, there was a 12:01 a.m. showing. And a bunch of us, there was ourselves and a few other bronies that aren't part of our immediate social circle showed up. It was, again, it was mostly an empty theater, but, we had the theater, pretty much to ourselves. It was 12:01 a.m. on a Thursday, so, yeah, school night. There wasn't going to be any little kids.
Nope.
New live-action He-Man. Who are they casting as Adam? Yeah, there you go. M. Night Shyamalan does a Hot Wheels movie, but in the plot twist, it turns out to be a Transformers movie. Yeah, that would be Autobots, and that's a different thing.
Yeah.
So later one. Yeah. Yeah, Tempest Shadow waifu. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people say that Tempest Shadow stole the movie. It was always her movie. It was her story. It was not the story of any others. Oh, by the way, embargo lifted. On everything. You can talk about it.
Just as long as you don't start a flame war in my or a waifu war in my stream, or we'll punt you.
Yeah, the only acceptable waifu wars are in Baron's commissions. So there.
That's right.
Hey, Cat C, are you new? Cat C14. If you are new, welcome. If you are not new, welcome
back.
Yeah. Let's see, anybody else here going down the list looking for new folk? Who else here is new? If you're new, say hi. You've been here before. You, and all of you, all y'all.
Yeah, Kibari. I think Kibari, you're a returner, aren't you?
Yes, we've seen it. We've seen Kibari before.
Welcome back. Oh yes, I remember that that run. Cat's Paws reminded us of the episode where or episode of the Ponytails game that you brought in Michael Bay, as in the Color Bay horse. Yes.
To do that new technological wonder, the movie about some of the adventures of the player characters.
Yes, because Winshear had written some embellishments.
And half the characters were aghast at the embellishment, and the others said, no, come on, crank it up still further.
Yes.
This isn't a documentary.
Yes, and Douglas Fairflanks, and it was Bay West. It's the Guardians of the Valley. And poor Cat's Paw's character was just terribly put upon.
Yeah.
Which is part of her job, was be put upon.
Yeah. Speaking of MLP, season 7 finale.
Liked it?
Thoughts? Yeah. Liked it, didn't love it. It did a magnificent job of world building.
Mm-hmm.
I wish there would, again, classic thing, a little bit more time, like the character design of Pony of Shadows. Mm-hmm. It ties very, very nicely into stuff that's going on in Baron's brain.
Yes,
right down to the Shadows seduced Stygian into, into believing, all the stuff there, and the whole bit about Starswell being an arrogant butthole. It's like, yeah, that's canon. That always was.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I thought it was very good. The only thing that I just found very amusing is that along with obviously the world tree, elements of harmony, friendship, and magic, blah blah blah. It also apparently has a universal translator running because you had Starlight who was reading Old Ponish, which sounded nothing like what they were speaking, and then suddenly once the characters came back, hey, they're all speaking.
Kellyanne, I wonder how hard it would be to do an equestrian version of diplomacy. It would be impossible because diplomacy destroys friendships.
Right.
Yeah. Diplomacy is by the way, is a very simple rules war game.
It's a game of politics and power.
Yeah, it's a war game. It's all about seizing territory. The thing is that you negotiate with each other. You say, yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Then you write down your orders. And the only thing that counts is what you write down.
Not what you say, what you write down.
There's no dice or anything like that. It's, if two armies want to go into one space versus the other guy only has one, the two always win, or they always push it. And you can get cooperation and support from, say, from another guy's, armies or fleets. But they can tell you one thing and lie about it. That's the whole thing. Henry Kissinger, one of the great diplomats of our time, I think he's still around. He's ancient, but he's still around.
Yes.
Said there is no better game for teaching power politics. Politics in which you're not guided by
ideology,
morality. It's just about I get power and you can't have it. They said this is a perfect game for teaching how real power politics works. And in order to win the game, you have to make deals. In order to win the game, you have to backstab, say somebody at some point. It's been said that it ruins friendships, and it's because people get so involved in it. You lied to me. I'm never going to trust you again. But yes, we never see the seedy underbelly of Equestria. No up underbelly shot. Well, Derby Brew. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to leave that alone for now. I just wanted to get the politics in general, but we're going to leave it at that because this is a political free zone. We don't. There's enough of that going on in the world. We come here on Saturday nights to just get away from that for a little while and just be together and enjoy art and our togetherness.
Callahan says diplomacy may ruin friendships, but bridge, the card game, ruins marriages. I have an old man story for you.
Okay.
Bridge is a card game where you have partners, that sit across the table from each other. You deal out all 13 cards. And you go around the table bidding higher and higher and higher what suit you want to be the trump suit, no politics, and how many tricks, little card battles you can take out of the 13 possible. And then you get points or lose points depending upon whether you make your bid or not. Traditionally, it's been for couples. And the husbands team up, and then the wives team up again. It's the guys versus the girls. In the U.S. Navy, if you're an officer, you would learn to play bridge.
Yeah.
If you're an enlisted man, you would learn how to play backgammon, or very specifically AC-deucey, which is a variant of backgammon. Well, my dad was an officer in the Navy. He was a pilot, and all pilots are officers, even though most Navy pilots do not know how to behave like an officer and a gentleman. They're smart asses. That was my dad. Well, my dad joined the Navy just before World War II. Because he saw it coming, and he knew that very well there was going to be a draft, and if you're drafted, you're going to go to the Army. So he volunteered, went into the Navy, joined flight school, and he became a fighter pilot, flew Hellcats. My dad missed so he was in the Battle of Coral Sea, but he missed Battle of Midway because he contracted malaria. So he was in the hospital in Hawaii at the time of the Battle of Midway. So was Admiral Halsey, who had like a fungal infection, going on, a tropical fungal infection. It's pretty nasty. Well, in hospital wards, the officers got their own wing of the hospital, et cetera. This big, it is literally a class distinction. So my dad got to know Admiral Halsey.
Who was definitely a character.
Oh, yeah. And after World War II, they stayed in contact. And my dad and my mom would play bridge with Admiral Halsey and Admiral Halsey's wife. And at first, Admiral Halsey and my dad would win. They would win more often than they should. Because there's a way you can cheat in bridge. You're not supposed to say just outright say to your partner, I've got a whole bunch of hearts in my hand, so we need the hearts to be, the suit, and I've got 7 of them, so we should go all the way, say 7 hearts as our bid, and it's how much you jump bid is the only way you're supposed to communicate. But they had the little code thing. If I scratch my nose, that means hearts, and the number of times I tug at my ears, how many I want you to bid. It's cheating, but people do it. Well, after a while, Dad and the Admiral stopped winning. They started getting their asses kicked. And I remember at a family reunion, I was like 8 at the time, when my mom and my dad had had a little bit too much to drink, and my mom was sort of, razzing Dad, and said, "Yeah, that was when this came up." And she said, "Yeah, remember we used to play bridge all the time, and you started losing all the time." It says, "Yeah." It says, "You guys were cheating." What do you mean we were cheating? It says, "Yeah, you had your little code, so you got this." Okay, that meant spades, and it meant no trump, and and Dad's face got really red. Well, it's like, yes, we cracked your code. Good thing you guys weren't in charge of naval intelligence. And just to rub salt in the wound, it says, and we had a code of our own, and you never figured it out. Of course, my mom would also razz Dad. I remember one time they were both, they would go out and hunt duck and geese. Mm-hmm. And I remember one year, I came back, my mom had a big old goose over her shoulder, and Dad didn't have anything. And she's just like strutting in and says, "Well, I think I'm gonna go pluck my goose, and I'm gonna, cook up my goose, Mr. Fighter Pilot that can shoot down anything in the sky." Shut up. Again, fighter pilots are like, "Oh yeah, shotguns," because they train fighter pilots using shotguns, for leading, the shot the whole bit. But my mom was a damn good shot, and they came back, she bagged the goose, and my dad didn't. Dad was like, "Oh, I'm gonna cook your goose." Oh, promises, promises, So my mom gave as good as she got. She was an officer's wife, and she knew how to stand her own. She was awesome.
All right, there we'll put that kind of throw into place.
So we have a gentleman, Kevin in Heaven, who asks if Baron has any advice for somebody who's just starting out drawing. Aside from draw some more, do life drawing, but then draw some more. You have 10,000 bad drawings and you get them out of you as soon as you can.
Right. That's one thing I would say is draw all kinds of things. Just don't draw. I mean, you might really love, say, drawing ponies, or you might really love drawing superheroes or drawing Star Wars or something like that. But I would really, really stress that you take the time to learn how to draw more than just that. The reason why I can draw ponies really well is I got really good at drawing bowls of fruit. I got really good at drawing, a whole raft of other things before. One of the things that they'll point out, like if you go to someplace like Disney and try to get a job there, at least it used to be, they didn't want to see pages full of, Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and everything like that. They want to see your life drawing. If you know how to draw well, you can figure out how to draw anything after that point. So I should probably at this point start considering putting that into the picture for him.
There we go. Yeah, so it's asking us, how many kills did Dad get in World War II? He got 5. 1-0, in a real dogfight, and 4 kamikazes. And that kamikazes were not difficult to shoot down because they were very poorly trained, very lightly armed. And this one-way trip,
Quite an obsolete aircraft too.
Yeah, exactly. But he got all 4 of those kamikazes in one day. This was in April off the coast of Japan, and let's say they were part of a task force that included the Franklin, which did get hit quite a bit by damn near sunk by kamikazes. And one of the things that you would do if you were an aircraft carrier is you would send up fighter aircraft to about 20,000 feet and just sort of circle overhead. That way you could see the bad guys coming in early, and you could dive down and trade altitude for speed, and speed is life. So, and it took some time to climb back up. So what you would, so a tactic that they developed was they would send in a bunch of aircraft down low, and that would pull down the fighter umbrella. That would, all the guys that were up at 20,000 feet would come down to sea level to fight, and then you would send in a second wave right behind them, at 20,000 feet that would then dive bomb. With the idea that you divert. It was a diversion. You would pull down everybody from from high cover down to the surface, and then you'd be vulnerable from above. Well, the Americans cottoned onto that real quick, and what they would do is that whenever this would happen, they would leave a pair of fighters up at 20,000 feet, just in case. Well, that day it happened, and there was a flight of, and the second flight of kamikazes, there were 10 of them came in at 20,000 feet. My dad got 4, his wingman got 5, and anti-aircraft fire took care of the last one. The Randolph was not hit. It was not hit by the kamikazes. Again, their sister ship, the Franklin, got savaged in another engagement and damn near sunk.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the day that my dad got the Distinguished Flying Cross. Yeah. Saved the ship, literally.
Yeah, well, and that is an important thing, light and everything and shape, but this is really, there's more than that. That's just one part of the equation. Art is many things, and I think sometimes what really kind of bothers me is that my wife and I have several books in our library collection of how to draw animals. This is an excellent example of this. And these are books that were, in some cases, from like 1950s. They're old books. And all of those books that we have go in and talk about the whole process of, okay, this is the skeleton, this is where the joints are, this is how the musculature goes on the animal, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of the books I'm seeing on how to draw animals today go all into, and this is how the fur pattern looks, and this is where the antlers go, and that's important, but you need to understand what the underlying foundation of your picture is. Or else it can be very, very... Gerald, I want to ask you a question. I can do a short sleeve shirt, no problem, for this fellow's, I'm calling Loopold. The character Loopold. And, but I can do a short sleeve shirt so I can show the arms off fairly well. Do you want this guy to have like anything resembling pants, or at least like shorts, or do we want like knickers?
The pantless sniper.
Or do we, the pantless sniper? Or do we want to have just like maybe the pant leg ending here, and then you can obviously see that it's prosthetic legs showing up down here. Yeah, it does. Anatomy is very, very important, but it's interesting that being able to figure out how to draw drapery of clothing is also very, very critical. In fact, it's one of the reasons why superheroes all usually wear skin-tight outfits, because it's a lot faster for them to figure out how to draw a human body than it is to figure out how are all the compression folds and drapes on the critter. Okay, it's like knickers, right. Okay, so I'm going to give them kind of like,
Knickers.
Yeah,
Of course it's a pony clothing.
yes. Some, it's kind of like, those British, North African corps, when the British were in North Africa and Tunisia and Libya and everything, and they had those kind of baggy, long shorts. So I still got 15 minutes. Yeah, when I was in going to Art Center College of Design back in the 80s, I had one semester where the only thing I drew every weekend for 3 hours was a white cup, a white bowl,
You learn to hate it.
a white sphere, and a white cloth. That's all we drew. And the sphere was very shiny, and the bowl was kind of a satin finish, and the wooden block was very, very rough, and then we had this kind of like satin cloth, and the instructor would have us draw. Okay, this time I want you guys to emphasize the shadows and reflections on the very shiny ball. This time I want you to emphasize the rough texture of the cube, and we would do that over and over and over again. And yes, it drove us nuts at times, and we had all kinds of fantasies about our teacher biting the dust. But we learned really, really well how to handle different objects and how to treat them differently, and how to basically accent to create emphasis.
Yeah. That link I just shared is for the picture frames that I showed you earlier. Again, they're for 8.5 by 11 frames. Certificate frames. They're great for Baron's art, particularly because the textured black paint on them very, very nicely works with the pencil work. $6 each, or 6.5. Yeah. So I'm going. So while you are doing what you're doing, I'm going to do our hourly duty because I'm the duty. Because I'm that kind of guy. All right, we're going to take this opportunity to say thank you to University Art for sponsoring Baron by keeping him in art supplies. Coincidentally, University Art sells art supplies, high-end art supplies, museum quality framing. They have workshops, they have demonstrations, they have craft fairs, they have manufacturers fairs, where they get representatives come out and show off all their art materials. Their employees know what the hell they're talking about, so if they say use this paint instead of that, it's not because it's the most expensive one, it's because it's the one that best suits what you described you want to do. They have branches in Sacramento and Redwood City and San Jose. We got really great folks. Again, I get all of my high-end framing done there. That any of Baron's color works I have that are great big, and I've got a bunch of them. They're done there. So and they're also nice enough to one, have put up with Baron for 20 years, and two, to occasionally lend us their employees. Mm-hmm. We've had Jaya King on, and we've had Jeff Robschreiber, and we may have another.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right. So they lend us their employees to be guest artists here. So thank you to University Art. You're great guys. We appreciate you doing what you're doing for Baron.
And also, one thing that I also would like to point out right here about UA, the employees at University Art are not paid on commission. So
that's a big deal.
So they're not going to upsell you a bunch of material just to try and get a bigger paycheck. They're there to help you get the best materials for the budget you have. So you can create artwork. They're not there to say, oh, yeah, I'm going to sell you this, but yeah, you absolutely have to have this $80 brush. It's the only way you are possible to do art. Great, he buys it, and my cable bill is paid for the month. No, they don't work that way.
Nope.
They don't play that game.
No, so kind of the only one I would guess for that would be Free Fall. There we go. Yeah, but yeah, it's genuine help, not going to get fed a line of upsell. They're not used car salesmen.
Nope. And because Muslims, like I say, are actually practicing artists themselves, and this is not a path to riches. So they are having the same thing. They're really trying to figure out how they're going to pay their bills. How am I going to afford these materials? So they understand that you're on a budget.
Yes. Well, again, they get a lot of students from, from the various art colleges. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and students have no money. That's a rule.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just ask their parents.
Yeah. So hypothetically, if you were made to stay in an extended stay hotel room until February 2nd and wanted to display a bunch of pony stuff, How'd you go about doing so? Well, to make sure that it didn't disappear. Yeah. You might want to get like a very inexpensive folding bookcase. That you can get at places like Pier 1 Imports and Amazon and Wayfair.com and places like that. I assume by pony stuff you mean figurines. If it's just say if it's flat artwork, I would get an inexpensive poster frame and do collage style, and just have 1 or 2 poster frames filled with your favorite pwn art.
Also, too, if you're going to be in a hotel room, double check with the hotel. Sometimes the framing they do on the walls there will have what they call security hangers, which are designed and you
don't steal your
but you can
artwork.
But if you bring a frame in, you can buy those security hangers. You just need to find out what type they have, and you can get something to go in. And they will let you key it onto the wall, so someone just can't walk in and grab it.
Yeah. So again, well, the extended stay places, if they go, hey, I want to bring some of my own artwork, they'll work with you.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they? Yeah.
As long as it doesn't offend any of the the
exactly.
staff that comes in and cleans.
Don't worry, it's not pornography, it's ponography.
Yeah.
It's the visual study of smaller coins.
That's right.
Ponography.
That's right. Absolutely.
The best pony display is your clothing.
Yes, and it's so handy.
Time for No Scope 360.
Yeah, since you say you want something that was kind of classic and everything like that, I decided to go with Springfield 1903, basically a variation on the national match.
Yeah, I had a 1903 once.
This is the Utrinel style
Hey, Zero.
scope. And hello.
Hey, Zero, have you been here before? I don't recall if you have been here before. If so, welcome back. If not, just plain welcome.
Yes. I'm Baron. That's Caradwin there.
He draws, I tell old man stories and push buttons. Yeah. Let's see, time for you have another 9 minutes until your first break.
Yeah, we're going to make a break.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Leupold's been around for a while. The thing about Leupold scopes, aside from the fact that they are just absolutely excellent, optics, beautiful optics, is that they will withstand so as long as you got them mounted correctly, they will withstand recoil and not lose their zero at all. Back when I had the Weatherby 460, I had a VariX 2 to 7 power variable scope, and variable scopes have the reputation of being the worst for recoil, making them shift where the crosshairs are and make everything loose and rattly. But again, I had a Weatherby 460. At the time, the biggest damn thing you could get, and it was flawless. You could not hurt that thing.
Now this scope here, that's not necessarily the case. In fact, some of these you would see them. They would have a large coil spring, actually up here in the front. The scope would actually go further, and you'd have a spring around the front ring here. And this style of scope actually was mounted somewhat loosely in these mounts. It wasn't a solid lock like you'd have nowadays on a Leupold. And when the gun would fire, the scope would actually slide slightly inside the mounts, and that's how it would absorb some of the recoil, so that the optics wouldn't get banged out. And then
it was a damper.
Yeah, and then at the each shot, you push the scope forward. And that was a system that the Marines used in the Pacific during World War II.
Interesting.
So that's with this type of system. If you go to ForgottenWeapons.com, Ian McCollum about a year ago did a Rock Island auction video where he talked about World War I and World War II U.S. sniper rifles, because they had several coming up for sale. And he went in and talked and explained the mechanism the Marine Corps used, and they were the only ones. The Army didn't go for this. They went for a much simpler, in some ways more robust, but they were going for more of a designated marksman than a true sniper, where the Marines were going, nope, 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 nope. We're marksmen, and we're going to do it.
Yeah, Gibray, there was, don't hope your eye wasn't too close. It's like, there was something called the Weatherby eyebrow, which is basically if you leaned too far, put your head too close to the, Weatherby rifles are, say they use their own proprietary cartridges, which always have basically giant beer cans full of powder behind the bullet there. They were extremely powerful.
And very high speed.
Very high speed, etc., and which means a lot of recoil, which means that if you if you were shooting and you tucked your, say your head
snug.
really close to the, say to the scope, where you had maybe a half an inch of clearance between your, say your eyebrow and the rim of the back end of the scope, under recoil the scope would come back and would nail you right in the forehead,
Whack ya.
right above your eyebrow, and give you a second eyebrow. They call it the Weatherby eyebrow.
Yep. It's just simply a scope bump. I got one of those off of Holland and Holland 3775 Browning back in the 80s. I mean, so if you weren't careful, you could get it. In fact, one of the things that Ian did a video on for a recent Rock Island auction that's still going on, it's going to happen in December, is a really weird-looking Rube Goldberg contraption that they came up with for shooting over the top of the trenches in World War I. And in all the literature he had read, it said, oh yeah, and the way it was designed when it fired, you didn't worry about your eye hitting the scope because it pivoted out one direction when the rifle went the other way, and he actually test fired it, and he said, no.
No.
That's one of the things he's actually been very, very happy about. Now he has people saying, we want you to demonstrate this stuff.
Clever girl.
Yeah.
Actually, earlier we had somebody ask a question about a recommendation on any books on iconography. Well, that's a pretty broad subject.
Yeah, but it's going to depend on what period you want.
If you're looking for heraldry, which is a form of iconography, Fox Davies is the standard reference. It was written right around the turn of the previous century.
But there's also books on iconography as far as industrial symbols go. I've even got a book at home that is a book of just marks that craftsmen would carve on their stonework or woodwork when they were stonemasons, when they were building something. And it was this whole collection, and a lot of this stuff started developing some kind of almost mystical occult type importance. So it'd be actually a question of what kind of iconography you're looking for. And I mean, I guess hieroglyphics would count as a type of iconography too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So again, if you can, let me see, who did ask that? Was it Time Lord? Yes, Time Lord artist. What type of iconography? The Renaissance iconography. Oh, geez.
Well, I wish Myra was still alive. My second semester art history teacher would be perfect for this because she could, she could name things. Okay.
Okay, well, if it's going to be Renaissance again, heraldry is a good place to start. And Fox Davies, though his book is largely on the later period stuff, when it was less about identifying people on the battlefield and more about your pedigree. He does cover in considerable detail not only the rules of heraldry, but also where the various icons come from. But Renaissance iconography.
Let me do some homework. My recommendation is if you can contact me through Twitter or DeviantArt or through the Smudge Marks Engel Works website, you can actually contact us there. I can do a little bit of homework, but I may not be able to get an answer for you right away, but I can look into that for you.
Yep. Yad Mavanger, I used to be an SCA herald, so I had to. An SCA uses English and European heraldry rules, including major points of difference, etc. Including you are not allowed to collide with any real world heraldry unless you could prove it was yours. And that was not easy to do. But notice I still have mine. Argent 2 foxes, salient, respectant ghouls, and in base a Malay of 8 sable. What the hell did I just say? White background, 2 foxes leaping at each other. Salient means springing. Ghouls, which is red, painted red. And in base, down by the point, the base of the shield, a Malay, which is the rondelle of the spur, of 8 points. Now it has a hole in the center. Sable, which is technically a fur, but it means black. So it was my device was red, 2 foxes leaping at each other, symmetrical, 2 red foxes leaping at each other, and down the bottom an 8-pointed star with a hole in the middle. That was me.
Well, not necessarily. If he's moving the curtain out of the way in advance before his target shows up, the target may never realize that the curtain's been moved.
Yeah. Well, again, if you're on the 4th floor,
Yeah. So, Jarrell, is this working out for you?
Yeah, and Cat's Paw, tome is right, because the Fox Davies book is big.
Yeah, I had to actually borrow Cat's Paw's Fox Davies recently just to double check, make certain I was remembering something correctly for Mad Badger's piece that I worked on with Cadence, because he wanted to have diapering on the shield. And I want to go, okay, am I remembering correctly what diapering is? Yes, okay, so this
Yeah, that represents, you know, a certain type of patterning of cloth with buttons. Yeah.
And it also can represent sort of that cross, almost like, you know, cross pattern, like, you know, fishnet that I did on Cadence's shield. That's a style of diapering.
Yep. Yeah, the basic rules were no metals on metals. You know, metals were, you know, again, gold and silver. You know, yellow and say, and white. It's a no fur on fur, no tincture on tincture. You know, tinctures of colors. You know, there was, you know, Verets, which is green, there's Verets, there's, you know, Ghouls, there's Azure, you know, which is, you know, green, red, blue, and then there were furs, plain black with sable, and then there's a pattern called mink, or ermine rather, ermine noir.
White with the black.
Yeah,
check.
which basically is white field with little black spots, which represent the little black, you know, color at the tip of an ermine's tail. Purpura is purple, and it's supposed to be reserved for people who have achieved royalty in SCA. I think they've relaxed that rule. And then there, you know, and then it just goes on and on and on, you know. So.
Yep. Okay, why don't we switch cameras here?
Indeedy, it is that time. And what is that time? It is break time.
That's right. Okay.
All right. So, all righty.
Okay, got that. Well, for 1 hour.
Yeah, that's very German. You know, black was a metal in German heraldry. It was considered iron.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, for 1 hour, that's not bad. I got that thing cranked out. And
Yeah, I see. What do we know about diapering? Oh, depends.
yeah.
No. Ain't quite ready for that yet. I'm old, but I ain't that old.
If you didn't get the depends joke,
You're lucky.
yeah.
Yeah, we will not. We will certainly not bring in certain aspects of certain fandoms into this. Anyway, folks, we're going to take a 5-minute break. Get up and stretch. Go get a drink. Go get rid of your previous drink.
Yes.
We'll see you in 5.
Yes. Bye.
Deathlight, you can always use Chrome. Chrome has a built-in flash interpreter.
Yep.
Welcome back.
Yes. In fact, we use Chrome on the Mac Mini here so I can view your guys' chat and everything when I'm working.
Indeedy. So anyway, we are into hour 3 of 4. What a marathon! You know, but the jambalaya is cooking away downstairs. So
Yeah, we can smell it. And,
oh yeah.
And you can also smell it when Brian was baking that chocolate cake for dessert.
Yep, from scratch. He does not use cake mix. It starts with flour and cocoa powder and sugar.
And melting chocolate.
Eggs. Eggs are in milk. And wheat and milk. That's nutrition.
Yes. So.
Brian's great. He gives us a chocolate cake.
We'll have a wonderful chocolate orange icing, too, that's going to go on, too.
A marathon stream featuring stallions.
Exactly. Love your sense of humor.
Yeah, indeed. All right, so what the hell are you going to be doing for the next hour?
Well, what I'm going to be doing is this guy over here is going to be running a 5th edition D&D campaign.
I am.
Pretty soon. And one of the races, okay, is the race that I'm playing actually canon to the game, or is it a race that you came up with?
It's just one of my own.
Okay, anyway. I'm playing a Servine.
Yeah, the race is the Serva. They are they're essentially deer dudes. You know, their shtick tends to be, again, defenders of the forest, very druidy, and Baron is playing an archer. They are very good archers. You know, they have the like that, you know, which is a natural weapon, the whole bit.
Yeah.
Although he's not playing a ranger archer, he's playing a soldier type of archer.
Oh, and by the way, yes, you can draw a bow, even with antlers, because you're pulling the bowstring in close to your head, and the antlers are out here.
Yep, the antlers are all
Up and out. They're not that. You might have a. So you might have. If you for some reason had the horns that went the ram's horns.
Yeah.
You might have an issue. You'd have to
Yeah.
cant your head over like that. But yeah. So anyway, yeah.
And so, of course, I was heavily involved in archery in college. In fact, I paid for a good portion of my schooling because of doing backroom, somewhat illegal pool shark type archery.
If Baron offers to take you down to an archery range and shoot for $100 bills, don't take him up on it.
Well, I haven't done it over 20 years. So
That's what you say.
I need to get back into it. My back is finally getting good enough that I need to start looking at putting some money towards getting back into that again.
Yeah. Well, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, I will spill some down my front and say in honor of,
Yes. Hey, Celestia likes cake.
Because she does.
Exactly. So I'm going to be doing my character, he's an archer. Now, I really am still kind of finalizing the design in my head, exactly what it looks like. So this is going to be a chance for me to you can get to watch me on camera, try and figure out how exactly my character looks like. So why don't we go over to the drawing cam here and get to work.
Draw, partner.
Yeah, well, I wasn't, the only person, cat's paw, who was able to make a buck or two. But yeah, back in like 1985, I could make, sometimes a few $100s a night doing that, which, of course, that was also all under the table and wasn't being paid state or federal taxes. So, I could end up paying for my textbooks for a semester sometimes in an evening if I was careful. Of course, also back for textbooks didn't cost literally thousands of dollars, so simpler times. But that's one of the ways I used to be able to supplement a lot of that and painting miniatures for people. Painted a lot of miniatures in college for folks. And with hindsight, did not pay. There we go. All right. And I'm going to go fairly light here at first. I'm trying to get the... Yeah, one thing I'm doing right here, you might say I'm kind of doing this circle and drawing that circle. What I'm trying to figure out here is, okay, if my arm's fully extended, my bow's drawn and everything, am I going to have enough room on this paper to fit this guy?
Yeah.
Nothing sucks more than like, I got this beautiful figure, it's going and I can't finish the weapon because it goes off the paper.
Now, what were you going to school for? It was art school.
Yep.
I
was studying,
commercial art.
I was studying to be an illustrator.
Which school was that again?
Well, I went to Art Center College of Design when I was in high school, and then I attended
Art Center College of Design.
But when I was doing the archery, I was actually going to West Valley and Mission College and De Anza College, and I technically qualified for San Jose State, but due to a host of screw-ups at San Jose State, I wasn't able to get in the semester I was supposed to, and couldn't re-secure my financial aid, and then just life happened.
Yep. Training wheels or recurve. So you had neither, if I remember right. You had a self bow.
Well, I had both. I had when I shot for money, I shot compound. I had a PSE Stratoflight Elite, which at the time was a big deal. Nowadays it'd be horribly obsolete. But I also had a 60-pound Mary Rose D-section longbow. Mm-hmm. And technically was able to get qualification for, I could have qualified for the King's Army if I had wanted to, because I could shoot, my bow was of the bare minimum poundage. I mean, I would have still probably got laughed at by some of the other archers.
60 pounds?
60 pounds. 60 pounds was the minimum draw. Based off the bows that they have retrieved from the Mary Rose, this is the lightest bow we have found. Was 60 pounds. The heaviest bow they found was like 135 pounds. So I was just barely qualified, and I could meet the bare qualification. I could shoot 12 arrows in a minute into a man-sized target at 200 paces, which basically accounted to being 2 stacked up hay bales at a rifle range.
Yeah, that's 200 paces. That's 200 yards. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah. And of course, you were allowed to do things like stick the arrows in the ground in front of you, because that's how they used to do it. So you could get your you get a bit more curve in that bow. I think that draw I'm gonna have a bit more in that. Let's fix that. And until it broke on me. That was a mess when it happened.
Oh yeah, that you can get really messed up if it,
I got knocked out.
Yeah, that counts.
And I got knocked out, and it was one of the things that knocked one of my neck vertebrae, kind of. Which a few years later, I found out. Oh, I didn't actually recover from that. I just thought I'd walked it off.
Yeah,
Surprise.
Yeah, your body remembers that and will remind you a few years later.
And you pay back with interest.
Yep.
And now I feel it every time the weather changes.
Yeah. Now, I used to do a little bit of, say, of archery. I could draw a 60-pound bow, and hold it for a while. This was back during my SCA days. But in SCA, you're limited. Actually, in the battlefield, you're limited to 30-pound bows. It's like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
But with bird blunts with closed cell foam on the tip, and you tape the hell out of them, and
They had absolutely crappy.
Well, you had to use fiberglass shafts.
I'm going to go for
bamboo
different pose.
shafts.
I'm going for different pose. I'm changing my mind here, folks. Like I say,
New piece of paper.
no, flip it over.
Okay, there you go.
I'm literally, in this case, I am still inventing the character in my head. So this is a case of I don't have a preconceived notion. I'm making something up as I'm going along.
There you go.
So, he's about 16 years old. He's not a very old.
Catch you later, Army.
Yeah, glad you could join us. He's level 1. He's a little bit wet behind the ears. I realize that while a pose might be really good, it's not going to give me a good chance to get an idea of what the character really looks like. Yeah. That's what I need to work on.
Yep. At this point, you're doing the first page in the Men at Arms series books, not the fourth or the fifth.
Exactly.
The legs of the serva are digigrade with very sturdy, good size, not like Tauren size from World of Warcraft, but still pretty damn big.
Yeah, not these little teeny tiny dainty things that are going to fall and get your feet stuck in the mud.
Yeah. Yeah. As a cat spot, it's traditional for for D&D starting characters to be the human equivalent of anywhere between 14 and 22. A little bit older, typically for wizard and cleric types, but not always. Yeah. A little bit younger, typically for rogue and fighter types, but not always. I'm 55 years old and just taking up. It's like, well, you'd better come up with a damn good reason to not have other skills to back it up. And yeah, so typically, you're
verify, check something here.
Keep ready to enter into college.
I want to check on something here.
Oh, that was horrible.
What was that?
Yeah,
Bo Jackson.
Bo. Yeah, exactly.
I like him.
Character gen on a Traveler game. Yeah, okay, there you go. It's a Traveler, the only game in which a character usually dies during character creation. Yep. And we have...
speaking of a bow...
Say hi to Dusty.
Hello, everybody.
Andrew Dragon was asking, does Dusty live anywhere near you guys? Not far enough.
Not far enough. No. Hi, guys.
Yeah.
Was downstairs watching the show, and we're talking about bows.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I grew up in an archery household myself. This is a 70-pound pull English longbow, handmade by a gentleman in Michigan. Made for me. My dad commissioned this.
May I take a look, see at that?
You may go right ahead, my friend.
Thank you. Yes. All right, okay, it's not a full D section.
Nope.
It's more of a flat. Okay, that's good. Got a nice knocking there, though. Good job. Nice job on inlaying the wood in there. Ooh, that's beautiful. That is sweet.
That was something your dad got for you, right?
Yep. That was my Christmas present when I turned 22.
Gotcha.
And what do you draw on that?
Huh?
Is that about 60 pounds?
70 pounds.
70. So basically, it comes up to here, and you let go immediately because you're not going to be holding this.
But not for long.
Nope, not very long at all. Nope. You're
Pull it
gonna.
up.
Yeah. Generally, with even my 60-pounder, you wanted to figure out what you were doing before you started drawing the arrow.
Absolutely. Being an older, I haven't actually shot this bow in probably about 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure my shoulder can even pull this thing anymore because it is a beast.
Yeah.
Back when I was in SCA, I could pull and hold a 60-pound bow for a few seconds.
Yeah.
You start getting up to 70-pound longbows, and you're like, ooh.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
but,
You
I mean,
have a
but,
shoulder behind
but it's nothing like or good back muscles. It's nothing like a compound where you can draw and go, okay, yes.
Well, you
I think
can't-
that's good. No, I think I'm gonna wait another moment.
think I'll move.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly. Well, that's what the cams are all
This is
about.
basically pretty much historically accurate to what they used in England at the time.
Yep.
A little bit more like the Burgundian French longbows. The Burgundians actually used longbows
Yes.
too. And they had a slightly different shape profile. The English went for more of the D style, but this is European medieval style. Yeah, I was at a competition one time where I watched a fellow who was shooting a 115-pound.
That's a shoulder on that gentleman.
He was made of meat.
He was,
Made of nothing but meat from
well,
up
he
here.
was this wiry guy.
Really?
Yeah, he's this except he looked at his chest, which was about here. But outside he was
Yeah.
this whipcord.
With a
and-
proper arrow, it could defeat a knight's armor. Yes, it was called bodkin arrows.
Yep. Not as good against.
Triangular cross section. And they also left nasty wounds too, because triangular cross section forces the wound open, then it doesn't close. It keeps bleeding.
Yes. We could talk about bow arrow,
Yeah.
hunting
Yeah.
broadheads and all that stuff too, but that's
Yeah. Generic asked whether an archer can fire 2 or 3 arrows Legolas style at once with any accuracy. Well,
Some
at
can.
once, yeah, not really.
Well, what they used to call that, they call that Hiawatha shooting, which was shooting a whole bunch of multiple arrows simultaneously. You really can't do it. Now, can you fire, especially at longer ranges, fire a shot, sheath another arrow on your bow, fire it before the first arrow gets there?
Yep.
Oh yeah, if you know what you're doing.
And if you're shooting far enough.
Yeah.
I really need to get back into shooting.
You do.
Like I said, I want to get back into it too. One thing I was hoping to get back do before I got out of it in college was I was getting fascinated with aging.
Thank you, Dusty.
Yes. Oh, of which Dusty's going to be at EQLA like I'm going to be next weekend. And so if you happen to be in the LA area and you're attending the con, he's going to be at the charity table for EQLA, and he's going to have some of his amazing guitars for sale as well.
Yeah, if any of you folks have been living under a rock and don't know, Dusty has been doing custom cigar box style, it's a classic, folk style guitars. Converting MLP lunch boxes to use as the body instead of a cigar box.
Even though he is getting into actually doing real genuine cigar box.
Well, he
guitars.
is. Yeah, he's done a couple now, and he's working on one for me.
Yes.
These are electric guitars. They have a piezo pickup on the inside, and you can play them through through an amp. You get a real nice blues crunchy sound, and so yeah, he's been doing quite a few of those. That's more or less what he does for a living these days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Along with doing book narration and
Yes, audiobooks.
and helping repair antique motorcycles. He's a man of many, many talents.
He's a Renaissance Dusty.
Yes, exactly.
And Dusty's going to be in our D&D game too.
Yes.
If any of you folks, okay, let's see how good Catspaw can dig this one up. Dusty and Mando Pony, did an animated video called Thatch and Dial, which was to be a start of an animated series. I don't think it got beyond episode 1, but Dusty voiced a character, Thatch, who was a cat bard. So he's going to be playing basically Thatch, a bard in
Oh,
a
hey,
D&D game.
it's Somerset.
Hey, Somerset, been a while.
Yeah, hey, cool. We showed your piece of artwork off earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. Hello to Sunnyside. Hello, Sunnyside.
Yes.
AKA Somerset. We remember you. Good to see you back. Yeah, so this is going to be your permanent name then?
Unless you're a different Somerset.
Yeah. Yeah, Thatch and Dial. Oh, there you go. Cat's Paw's right on it. Yeah. Thatch and Dial, episode 1. It's very cute. Yeah, again, it has nice music because Mando Pony is a master musician. He's very, very good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tabaxi, not exactly. The race is Leani. In D&D, the Tabaxi are sort of a tropical feline race, and they're all about shiny. They're well intentioned, but they have the attention span of a ferret. And there's much more of a range of behavior with the Leani. Some of them are very stoic and warlike. Others are very. That was the leonine, more leonine type, they more or less magicked themselves out of existence a while ago, and they're not well remembered, not well liked. By the way, the game in question is not pure furry, not even close. I
Nope.
mean, it's still a human-dominated world, and we're going to have some human characters too. But while Leani can be, rogue, light-fingered types, they don't have to be. Again, it all depends on the subspecies and the individual. I mean, when you say what would a Leani or a Tabaxi do? Well, what would a human do? Oh, wait, humans have this huge variance in behavior. Which human? From what culture? From what social class? Under what circumstances? What would a Tabaxi do? What would a Leani do? Well, which Leani? From what culture? From what social class?
So they have agency.
Yeah. It's a home. Yeah, Time Lord. It's a homebrew cat race.
Oh, well, I'm glad you could make it. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that work sometimes is. You're not the only person who's.
Yeah. WWBD. What would Baron do? He would dream about it. Yeah.
There has been some cases where it's like working on a commission or something like that, and going, this isn't working. No, this isn't coming together right. I have an idea how to make this work out. I'm gonna go take a nap.
Yep.
See if I can solve the problem that way.
Yeah. So apparently, Sunnyside, Somerset, has a job that requires Saturday evening hours. So,
Yeah.
Yep.
We understand.
We do. I put in my put in my time on not having any weekends because I work retail. That doesn't,
20 years for me.
Yeah. What would Baron Botano do if he were here today? He'd certainly draw a drawing or two. That's what Baron Botano do. Yeah, definitely. You also have to hit it with a hammer too. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's actually something you may notice about what Baron's doing with the positioning of the hooves is that they are what a lot of people will do with digigrade and this is a variant of digigrade, paw type feet, is they will draw the legs relatively straight with the paws sticking forward, which means that the character would fall backwards on their butt.
Nope, you got to get your center of gravity right down through. That's where the gravity is.
In a static pose where the character's not moving, it has to be between the toe, the front of the hoof or foot, and the back, and it has to be in between them from side to side. Which means that with a smaller contact patch, think of it as standing on your toes. Mm-hmm. The knees would be bent all the time, sort of squatting a little bit.
It's much more of a dynamic.
Right.
You just can't count on locking things together and
Right.
That's going to hold you in place.
Right. So again, imagine a woman's high-heeled shoe, like a stiletto, without the heel. Mm-hmm. And how would you have to stand without falling on your ass? And that's the same problem that a digigrade character has to do. So the solution is either very careful placement or great big paws, great big hooves.
Yeah, I mean, to be quite honest, if you want to go out and look at that part of the web and everything, if you look under fetish footwear, there are what they call hoof boots out there, where basically they perch you up on your toes. Yep. There's also another style called ballerina boots, which will do similar type things. And that'll give you an idea of what.
Yep. Yes, exactly, cat's paw. Yes, and this is actually one of the reasons why German Shepherd dogs develop hip dysplasia. If you look at a German Shepherd and you see it looks like a sloping back, it's not because the hind legs are shorter. They're not. The knees are splayed outwards, which sort of squats them down a little bit, which gives them that that sloping back line and this almost gliding motion that everybody finds so a German Shepherd in a trot is just a gorgeous thing to see.
It comes at a price.
That puts a tremendous amount of strain and stress on the tendons around the hips and the hip joint itself, and they develop a form of arthritis called hip dysplasia. That is, very painful. Again, if you can keep your dog around, you're talking hip replacement surgery, and you don't get insurance for that. Mm-hmm. Which is why it's such a big deal to check the genetics and make sure that none of the ancestors of your German Shepherd dog have been diagnosed with hip dysplasia. The Orthopedic Foundation of America, the people who do human orthopedics also certify or inspect dogs to make sure that their hips aren't going to develop that. They do that with an X-ray. Say, oh, if it's at this angle and this angle, your dog's likely to have problems when they're 6 or 7. Right. Yeah. So, and that's a disqualifier for the American Kennel Club.
Yep.
Your dog has to be hip dysplasia free for 5 generations to qualify for showing.
And of course, it also comes down to whether or not you have a German Shepherd or a Shepherd that is show, or if you have one that's being bred from stock that's being used for like police dogs and things like that, because they're looking for a completely different set of requirements.
Well, there's a reason why police are moving away from German Shepherd dogs into Belgian Shepherds, particularly the subbreed Belgian Malinois. They are much healthier and also much less neurotic because they're not overbred the way that the way that German Shepherd dogs.
Sunnyvale Police Department has a couple of those, including one the Samson's its name, and this looks like a dog for an action hero movie. It all black with these gold eyes, and it has that go along your way, citizen.
Oh, so it's a Groeningdale.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's again just like Bonsai, except with an all black coat.
And huge.
Yes.
When things lays down sideways across the bench of the car back there, it takes up most of the back of the vehicle. It's like, right.
Cat's paw. Are the Vargan plantigrade? They are digigrade. In fact, of the beast races, only the Auros, the cow dudes,
not Minotaurs,
are plantigrade. Yeah, that's how you tell an Auros from a Minotaur. Minotaur are these demonic beings. They say that, and if you call an Auros a Minotaur, you're going to eat some hoof. You're going to eat some horn.
Or you'll get a move.
Right. So again, Minotaur have these giant cloven hooves, while the Auros are plantigrade. Human foot. Digigrade means stand on toes. From digit. The Ursa are plantigrade too. The bear guys. Again, the Leani and the Cerva and the Varg, the wolf dudes, are all digigrade.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, you get too much without a little bit of diversity in the whole thing, you start running into problems.
Oh, pain. A long sword and a long bow. Don't tell me his name isn't Arahorn. No, his name is Cedric.
Yes. Cedric Blackhoof.
Yep. Ungulagrade. Sounds like you're gargling. Ungulagrade.
Let's see. At this age, he'd probably have maybe at most a total of 4 tines to a horn each side, max.
At your age, yeah. I mean, he may be a 6-pointer, he may be an 8-pointer.
Right.
And yes, that's something that they brag about. And, and again, totally up to you.
But he's not like some 12-pointer or something like that.
Oh, not unless he's a genetic freak.
Yeah, or he's been putting, you've got fake ones.
Yeah, exactly. Or you've been using spells.
Yeah.
You got horn extensions.
Fluttershy has tail extensions.
Yeah. So Sunnyside is looking for anatomical advice for doing 4-legged ponies. Well, step 1, marry a professional animator, who is a very experienced, equestrian rider and who has been trained at CalArts specifically on equine anatomy and motion. And then that's the first thing you do.
And then be with her for 20 years while she basically says you're doing that wrong again. But beyond that, I would say start by actually studying real horses and real ponies.
Yeah.
Now you're
horses have funky anatomy.
Yes, they do, and you're going to probably discover that if you look at my way I do ponies from my Equestria Dreamscape, it's not exactly how real pony or horse anatomy works. It's close.
Yeah. So, the Mad Badger Cerva males range from about 5.5 feet to about 6.5 feet tall. Again, that's at the top of their head, not including ears, not including antlers. So again, some of them are sort of light build, some of them are almost, Irish stag build, et cetera, but they're based on whitetails. So as far as just overall antler shape and the whole bit about imagine a beach ball being held between the horns, and the tines kind of sort of form a bowl around the beach ball. That's how you can envision how this thing's shaped. How antlers on white-tailed deer tend to be shaped. They're very bowl-like.
And yes, they're very hard to draw. In fact, when they made the movie Bambi, one of the things that the animators could not work out at Disney was how to get the horns to work correctly. So what they had to do was they basically built a light box, and they got 2 sets of antlers, and they could put them underneath the light box and then get the silhouettes of them coming up, and then they'd put the drawings up and go, okay, that's how I need to turn them. And they basically did like a really primitive version of rotoscoping to get those antlers in. They're not easy to draw.
No, not at all. So let's see. In terms of mechanics of games, do the antlers work as a natural weapon? Yes, they do. During the time of year when you have them. Of course, there's always magic and stuff like that to keep them year round. But that tends to that does have side effects. But yes, they do. If you charge at least 20 feet, and you are considered to be proficient with this, if you charge at least 20 feet, and it's you're only attacking the round because you head down, and you hit. Again, it's 1d8 plus strength mod. And then you make a contested strength roll. If you win, the target is knocked back 5 feet as well, which makes it really, really good to do when you're battling on the edge of a cliff. But don't miss.
Yeah. Do you get any pokey damage?
Oh yeah, 1d8.
Okay, 1d8.
Yeah, it's an 8-sided die plus your strength bonus. And again, with the addition of a possibility of you then just roll strength versus strength, and if you win, your target is knocked back 5 feet. This assumes that they are medium-sized, humanoid size, or smaller.
Now, of course, one thing about a character like this is you're not going to be wearing hoods easily.
Well, at least not about half the year.
Right. Now you can wear a helmet, and I'm playing around in my head with design for effectively a fairly tight-fitting 2-piece skull cap that will lock on to kind of cover his brain bucket. But still haven't quite settled on the design yet.
Yep.
Need to get my bracer in here.
Yep.
Need my bracer. Now you may notice that I've drawn kind of a medieval-style archer here, and I'm going to have like padded armor and brigandine over that. And I got my quiver down here.
Hip quiver.
Don't have it back. Everybody knows that in medieval, jolly old Robin Hood wore a quiver on his back. That is a Hollywood leftover from the fact that when they made the Errol Flynn movie Robin Hood, the archer they hired to do all the stunt shooting was one Howard Hill, probably one of the best shots in modern times when it came to archery. Howard shot with a back quiver, so for the movie, he shot with a back quiver, and they just made do with it.
Yeah.
And that's where the whole idea about medieval archers using a back quiver got going, was from that one movie. They usually wore them in their belt. In some cases, the guys didn't even carry them. They'd have like a big cloth bag to keep the elements away from. But they would just stick them in their belt. They wouldn't even have a quiver. You would stick 24 arrows just in your sword belt, and you'd just go out on the field.
Yep.
With them.
Yeah, it's my understanding that the whole back quiver thing, you saw that far. So where you did see that, and it did exist, where you did see that was it was either in the East, Japanese, etc., or among hunters, but not among soldiers. Soldiers, used hip quivers.
Well, the other thing too is that the whole thing a lot of the tribes did. Well, no, actually they didn't either. Because quite often they'd go out, they would take just 2 or 3 arrows in their hands.
Yeah,
I'm just hunting. I'm not going out to fight a war.
Yeah, exactly.
And, if I'm not going to go shoot off 24 arrows and then frankly figure out where in hell I fired them all off in the woods and try and relocate them again.
Yep.
So...
Yeah, the most popular product among Cerebral bucks is horn growth salves or horn preservation. Yeah, it would be, I say it would be, there's these potions you can take to keep them year round. But if you show up in, let's say in March, with fully developed tines, everybody knows you're wearing a toupee. On the other hand, again, they are. Let's say they are, a point of pride, and yes, there are.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, so yes, there are dueling rules where you can where you use just your antlers, etc. But that's considered to be very primitive. It's the mud wrestling equivalent there. It's like that. It proves you're not civilized, and all you're doing is justifying the way that humans can sometimes point at beast folk and say they're primitive, grunting savages, barely better than animals. And now you're behaving like one. It's like pointing at a human and saying they act like a monkey or act like an ape. That being said, there are some testosterone poisoned Cerva who will go out and do that. The difference between somebody, between a quote civilized race and one that isn't, is can you overcome your instincts? We all have the instincts. Can you rise above them?
Above your urges.
No. Stay away from my daughter.
Yeah.
I don't want your genes, gunking up my gene pool.
Yeah, well, basically, when I'm right-handed, so I'm making this guy right-handed, so I would hold the bow in my left hand, draw my arrow at the right, knock, and shoot. So yeah, you put the quiver on the side that your hand is. I shot a side quiver when I shot both longbow and composite. Or compound, I should say.
Oh, Callanan, your puns are going to make me wig out. They're really, really hairy. Let's see. Let's see, just going back here. The irony of a deer with a hunting bow. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, my character's kind of backstory is that his family has a tradition of protecting the roads through the forest that they live in so that travelers and pilgrims and other traders can go through okay. One, because my people do business with them. And two, we're doing it because if we don't do it, then one of the kingdoms might say, hey, look, guys, or we got merchants, they make us a lot of money, and they're having problems in your neck of the woods. Either you do something about this, or we're going to bring in basically some of our troops.
Nice legs.
Yep. I'm basically kind of off of deer, and deer have these amazing, you watch it, it's like, how in the world are you bouncing up that? I'm slogging up this slope even when I was in my prime, and I'm just watching this deer go doing, 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 doing. It's like, what you got, like shock absorbers?
Well, what they have is really, really strong, stretchy tendons.
Yep.
Which
springs.
which made the sinews part of what you sought after when you were hunting a deer.
Yep.
It's like, oh, I can use that. I will glue that to the front of my bow. And that will become spring.
Yep.
Yeah. And so you use glue prepared from the hooves, gelatin-based glue. And again, when you made your bow out of carved it out of a single stick, and you glue it, and while it was still straight, you glued on the tendons on the front and let it completely set up. And then when you curved it just to string it, you're already preloading those tendons, and the tendons rather than the wood was what carried most of the spring.
Yep.
Basically, that's what a compound bow is.
Yeah, a composite bow. Yeah, that's Turkish. Yeah, don't worry, I've made that mistake tonight a couple times myself.
The compy bow. Yeah.
Yeah, the compy bow. That's a Turkish recurve bow. Used 3 pieces of individual wood stuck together, but the wood was only like maybe 1/8 of an inch thick. The only thing it basically did was act as a platform that the horn and the sinew could be glued to. That's what did all the work.
Yeah.
Amazingly light bows with incredible poundage for their weight. Okay, I got 15 minutes left.
Yeah, and the Mad Badger, I'll send you the write-up. It's only a few paragraphs because I got the World Book right now is about 70 pages, of which I dedicate about 5 or 6 to the original races. But I will send you what I got. You know, a lot of it is still evolving. You know, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Kingdoms have kings, so what is Equestria? Well, technically, let's take a look at, you know, the way that Equestria seems to work. The Crystal Empire is not actually an empire. It would be it's a city-state or a principality. What is an empire? An empire is a collection of individual nations that are self-governing, except that the heads of state owe fealty to to the emperor, to the supreme head of state. But otherwise, the provinces, etc., whatever you want to call them, are largely self-governing under their own, you know, under their own government, their own nobility, etc. So if the Crystal Empire is a part of Equestria, then Equestria would be the empire, and the Crystal Empire would be the Crystal Kingdom or the Crystal Principality. You know, again, it's like in order to be an empire, you have to have a body made up of otherwise independent, self-governing states. So technically, Equestria would be the empire, and yeah. Again, if you're going to use Western, proper Western terminology. Since I don't think that the native language of Equestria is English, yeah.
I thought it was actually kind of neat in the season finale when they had Starlight supposedly speaking the Old Ponish. That's kind of neat, you know. And it does strike me as the kind of thing that, you know, she would know.
Yep. The British Empire, you know, again, all of the, it was made of, you know, okay, there was Canada, there was India, etc. They all had Australia. They all had their own governors, their own governor general. Mm-hmm. And the governor general basically administered the law, made sure the taxes were collected, made sure that enough soldiers were made. Aside from that, they could run their their own state, you know, pretty much the way that they wanted to.
They were part of the Commonwealth or the Domain, I believe was another.
Yeah.
The Dominion. They were part of the Dominion.
Yep. Must go and play Blood Bowl, my little Broncos. Well, let's figure the Crystal Empire, the word empire was a courtesy of historic title. That might be, that actually might be legacy from Sombra.
Yeah.
Because Sombra was certainly a conqueror and would certainly, you know, take over other states and demand fealty, you know.
Mm-hmm. That's actually a good point.
Yeah. So, you know, and sort of what we saw in season 5 finale, you know, in the first alternative timeline, kind of supports that. You know, I mean, he was just more of just an overall dictator, et cetera, but yet you can't rule everything individually yourself. Mm-hmm. You know, you have to have a hierarchy, and if your hierarchy includes, you know, self-governing territories, which are nonetheless obedient to you, well, you know, that's an empire.
Yep.
So yeah, that would. So Sombra would be Emperor Sombra.
Mm-hmm. And of course, originally, she was supposed to be Celestia was supposed to be a queen, but the
Disney defined queens.
Yeah, and
they're evil.
Yeah, they're evil. So it's like, okay, fine.
Hope they have equestrianism as an event in the Crystal Games, you know, where the horses ride each other. Yes. Note to self, mention in the story that Cadence isn't technically an empress. Of course, the other thing is that why would Cadence be head of state? Mm-hmm. I think she's governor general. You know, or the equivalent, whatever you may call her. You know, the ruling class is alicorns. You know, alicorns are except it seems in Manhattan.
Yes, where they're ne'er-do-wells.
Yeah, all they do is steal taxis. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Cadence is not a crystal pony. I mean, she has crystal on her butt. However, unless she was descended in some way from we don't know a lot about the origins of Cadence. I'm not sure how much weight to give to the chapter books. But aside from the fact that her cutie mark is the crystal heart, otherwise it would seem to me that if you're being more realistic, that she would be appointed by Celestia as the guardian of, and that the crystal ponies are more than happy to accept her as that. It's like, yeah, she helped save our bacon, and we need a leader. And the last time we had a leader was Sombra, so we're not going to bring up one of our own again. That was a mistake. And so she would be Governor General. And again with the title of princess, because princess goes with wings and a horn. But let's see. And they want Cadence to sell toys. She's the pink princess. And that was because at the annual toy industry conventions, where all the buyers from Walmart, Target, Toys R Us, FAO Schwartz, all the big toy companies, they look at all the toys you have available and say, okay, I'll take 5 of those, 10 of those. And Hasbro was told, with the white Celestia figures, we could sell tens of thousands of them, but if it was pink, we could sell hundreds of thousands, because everybody was still fixated on the blue aisle, the pink aisle thing. And so Hasbro said, fine, we're going to make a pink princess. Her name is Cadence. Does that work for you? Yep, we're happy. And the character of Cadence is okay. It's just she hasn't had a personal story arc. She's a bit Mary Sue. She's too perfect. But again, she's a nice, pleasant character. It's just not an interesting character. We just call her Love Bud. Cadence is defective. Gradient wings. Yeah. Still waiting for Big Mac to get his wings. In his dreams, pal. What would they call horse ballet? Dressage.
Yeah. Well, it's like in my Quest for Dreamscape, when we come back from Fort Trotterdale, one of the things that Carousel's she's been wanting to do it, and because of Patino placing that bet at the Best Young Flyers competition, which is basically is guaranteed our household a certain amount of financial independence, Patino's going to say, look, you've been wanting to get into carousel dancing, which is a very structured style of dancing that's done for some of like the harvest festivals and everything, but you need all the tack to go along with it. She says, look, I'll spring for your basic, your starting set of stuff, but there's an awful lot of practice, and she's going to discover that the lady who teaches it in the area does not like her, does not like carousel. And she's going to have to work really, 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 really hard to basically earn her trust.
Do you think that any of the princesses have had children in the past? Well, certainly not the big two. I don't think so.
No, I don't see it either.
I just don't see it. It would be mentioned. Can you imagine the demographic audience using the term Governor General? Mommy, Daddy, I want to watch Governor General Cadence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Besides that, also the last of the old Republic set has been swept away. The regional governors will keep populations in line.
Yeah. So how would ballet work? You balance on the very tips of your hooves.
Yep.
Yeah. So you have to be able to see the underside of the hooves. That's what toe dancing is to pones is again showing the underside. It's like an upskirt shot for hoof fetishists.
And it would hurt like hell, just like real ballet.
Yes, it does.
There used to be a lady who used to work in our frame shop, who had a build that you would usually not associate with someone who did ballet. She was rather well filled out. And I remember the way I figured out that she had to be a dancer of some type was I came in one day and she had her shoes off and her socks off. And if you didn't know that someone was a dancer and you saw some ladies' feet who do dancing seriously, you might go, are you being abused at home? Or what's going on? Because her feet were a collection of bruises.
Yep, the whole foot binding, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a kind of foot binding to shape the ballerina's foot.
Yeah, but still, just the toes, the calluses, the blisters. You see someone perch, they ding on their toes, and they look so graceful. That is years of painful training to learn how to do that. They make it look easy.
Didn't they say that some of the unicorns related to princesses, like Prince Blueblood? I would say that Prince Blueblood is descended from Princess Platinum.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. In other words, back when there were the 3 original tribes, each one was self-ruling. And again, another reason why Equestria is an empire.
In fact, I believe that's actually at least been made canon in one of Barrow's books.
Yeah. But I think it's just a courtesy title. Which is strange with blue blood because he doesn't know anything about courtesy. But and you also notice that the rest of Equestria doesn't. Canterlot's a backwater.
Yeah, doesn't give a hoot about that, especially in Manhattan.
Yeah, they don't care. It's like Twilight can't even catch a cab. It's like you're a princess, big deal. Princesses are held in reverence, in or near Canterlot, because that's a seat of government there. But the unicorns seem to be the types that would be most interested in preserving the aristocracy, at least if their behavior of some of the Canterlot elite, is anything. It's like, they take their pedigrees very seriously.
Mm-hmm. Earth ponies are going, get out of the way, I'm trying to make money.
Yeah.
They're the mercantile class.
Yeah. Well, so again, he disappeared from the series because he was a jerk, and and the way you deal with jerks in My Little Pony is you either reform them or you punish them and move on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When in doubt, throw your wife.
They don't have it anymore on We Love Fine, but they had a wonderful T-shirt that went in doubt, throw your wife, which was the scene from.
Yeah, the wife tossing event.
Yes.
That's one of the. It's one of the equestrian events.
Yep. Okay, got 5 minutes.
Yeah. So, Deathlight, talking about Lorica segmentata, or are you talking, again, they also had chainmail.
Rome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They also had the Greek style, sculpted breastplates. That's a whole bit.
They had the scales. In fact, it's kind of
They
interesting.
had everything.
There's, I don't know if it's been further reinforced, but back in the 90s, I remember reading that one of the speculations they had about Lorica segmentata, why it came into existence, it came into existence about the time that the Romans lost about 3 legions in the Black Forest area.
Where are my legions?
Yeah, and they had to very quickly replace armor.
Yeah, and that's a very simple to manufacture armor.
Yes, because in the East, they continued using the chainmail and the scale armor. Of course, it was also a little more cooler and more comfortable and hot.
But this stuff could be mass-produced.
Yeah, but Lorica segmentata could be cranked out, and it could also be repaired relatively easily, too. So, that type of style of armor came into existence almost as much as, crud, the national budget just took it in the shorts. And now we got a whole bunch of, hairy Germans with our armor.
Yeah. Yeah, cat's paw. Actually, I would think of the pre-equestrian Pegasi as more Spartan than Roman.
Yeah.
Again, if for no other reason than the way that they treated Earth ponies was there's a word helot, Helot, and helotry, which is a form of state level indentured servitude, slavery, whatever you want to call it. And the Spartans would go out and they would just basically take what and who they wanted from the helots. In fact, it was sort of a rite of passage to go out, and punk a bunch of helots. But yeah, they seem to be much more Spartan than certainly Athenian, or certainly not Roman. Not organized enough, not educated enough. You'll notice that Sparta didn't leave behind any great works. No. They left behind great stories, but their towns were, there were no great stoneworks or anything like that. They just built everything they built was temporary.
Yeah, it's one of the things out of 300s. Like, well, for freedom. If you read, it wasn't the most free place. If you're a helot, it sucked.
Yeah. Actually, the reason why you draw, Pegasi in Roman style, the armor is because Fluttershy looked very, very cute in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, with a conquistador hat. of course.
Yeah, and also too, and of course the Romans got a lot of their stuff from the Greeks originally.
Yep, exactly.
And
Well, it's because Private Pansy looked very, very good from behind in that little leather skirt.
yeah, she did.
Yeah, it's all about the military upskirt shot.
All right.
Yeah, it was already commented that this guy was just cruising for his own upskirt shot. I think it was somebody. Who was it? Was it Pinky Rational Pie? Somebody was
This guy here?
Was lusting after his legs and backside and all. He's got a fan.
So Cedric has a fan. Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's put it this way. He lives basically where he travels many miles a day on foot. He gets his at least 40 minutes of vigorous exercise every day.
More than one fan. Yeah. Sylvan's like going, All right.
All right, why don't we switch cameras here? 'Cause we're
Let us
almost
switch.
8:30.
Yeah, we're just about getting towards the next break. There we go.
All right, change. So like I say, I was literally kind of coming up with this character in my head while you guys were watching me draw. So didn't get quite as finished as I would like. But this is the first time around with the character. I'll keep playing around until I get the way I want it.
Yep. Indeed. So we're gonna have last break. 5 minutes. And
Zach?
one more thing. Zach Silgerson, I think you're new. You are here, and Vinesy, I think you guys are new.
Yes.
If so, welcome.
Welcome.
You're just in time for a 5-minute break.
Yeah. Be back in 5, and then we'll be on. And for the last hour, you know what? I'm going to do a request.
So don't give us your requests yet. Start thinking about them. Not your character, because that's called a commission. And vaguely safe for work.
Yeah.
And something can be drawn in an hour.
Yeah.
Start thinking about it, and we'll see you in
5.
5. Yeah, Webster, you go draw ponies.
Yeah, you draw ponies. That's
You
an
draw
excellent
ponies.
idea. And then you post them someplace so we can see them.
There we are. Links.
Yes.
Yeah.
We want to see your ponies.
Show us your bone. Show us your bone. Show us your bone. All righty, folks. We're down. We're down to hour 4 of the 4-hour marathon.
Even though I have to admit, this evening really seems to have gone by fast.
It has. It has.
And I just want to take a little moment right now to do because we're now at the last hour, making our pitch again. I don't know if he's still in the chat or not, but Clear Skies, the creator of the Roan RPG, for the veterans. Is he there?
Veterans Day, yeah.
Yeah,
he's moved on.
Yeah, Veterans Day is doing a thing where if you go to Drive-Thru RPG, you can get the Roan rule set in PDF form for 50% off, $10.
Cheap at half the price, yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed. Now, I think I see somebody new. DM Williams, have you been here before?
Yeah.
If so, welcome back. But if not, then just plain welcome. And,
Hello.
and Kavix, are you new?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So if anybody that's new, say hi. We'll say hi right back.
You'll have to forgive me. Theoretically, I have now like almost 600 people following me on Picardo, so we can't keep track of everybody.
We try.
We try. We try to make people welcome.
We're very trying.
Yes, we try to make people welcome, make them feel, hey, you're part of a community here.
Yep.
But
Yep. And
All right.
and if you're an artist yourself and you have links to Safe for Work art,
feel free to post it.
by all means.
Yeah. Don't spam the chat, but hey, you've got a DeviantArt page, put up a link. It's cool.
Yep, exactly. All right, so we are down to the last hour, and Baron has said that he is interested in doing a request.
Yes.
Here's the rules. 1, safe for work. 2, don't tell us yet. No, 3. 3, not your own character, because that's called a commission, and Baron
Does commissions.
Baron does commissions because this is what he does for a living.
611.
Yes, 100% of his income comes from art. And
Good night, Sylvan.
Good night, Sylvan. And something that can be drawn in an hour.
Oh, and if I draw your piece for you, that means I have drawn the picture. That doesn't mean that I am obligated to mail it to you. You don't own the artwork.
No, it was just a suggestion. Exactly. All righty, folks. Are you ready to give us your suggestions? 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey, Sylvan, if you want to throw in something for you leave, you get one last chance. Throw it out.
Yep.
So let's see. What do you folks want to see me draw for? Oh, bravo.
There we go. Boom. Okay. Huge pony from the end of the Candlelight Boutique episode. Do you have the princess dress? Yes, Princess Love, the Love Yourself pony.
Yes.
Anthro Big Mac teaching Apple Bloom how to shoot.
And Garby.
Babylon 5 Psycor pony. Seeking out a foal. Human Sassy Saddles in a miniskirt and high heels. A picture of the Tangler from Baron's MLP Anthropics. Anthro Frazzle Rock in winter wear. Sir, we can always count on you. Patina as a pilgrim or Fluttershy as a turkey. Main 6 playing strip poker. They've all busted. They're always naked.
Yeah.
Gangster vinyl scratch. Chrysalis versus the Bug Zapper. Octavia in a bunny suit. Yeah. The pony porn star Deep Tail. Okay, fine. Glim Glam as a communist.
Sure is.
She's a Trotskyist.
Yes.
Patina, let's see, I got to scroll up. Patina controlling Skybrush, Ratatouille style. On your shoulder, do a thing.
Yes.
Since it's Veterans Day, OC girl visiting the National Cemetery or something other like that. Octavia in a bunny suit, yes. Master Tigress, Nightmare Derpy with a shattered moon. I just don't know what went wrong. You broke the moon. Rock and roll torch singer like Priss in Bubblegum Crisis or Street to Fire as Zecora as Zatanna. Bunny Celestia. Now there's another Octavia as a pinup, maybe in a bunny suit. Ascended changeling fashion model. Yeah. Sexy Anthrosonobula.
I'm sorry. All the Ascended Changelings look like they should be something from a David Bowie 1970s movie video thing.
Skinny glam, yeah, exactly. Rarity visits the heavenly body. Pony Pilot Infinite Stratos Gangster Scratch was another one.
Remember the Ash Destroyer of Pies.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, I had that. We've had multiple Octavias in like pinup or bunny suit or something.
So how about a pinup Octavia in a bunny suit?
Yes, I think we can do that. And it's going to make Clear Sky so sad because he's not here to see me draw it.
Oh, there you go. So of course this would be Anthro Octavia.
Yes. Oh yes.
You got it. All right. Octavia in a bunny suit, in a pinup pose a la Vargas.
And now we are going to change our glasses. Ha ha ha.
Ha ha ha. You got it. Sweet.
Yeah.
Rocktavia. Like that's it.
Right,
of course, if you've ever
Patina in the cornucopia. Patina would say she's a cornucopia of herself, but hey.
the musician who played cello for Octavia in episode 100, her name is Tina Guo. She does say very artsy performances, sometimes almost wearing clothes. She's definitely in good shape. She'll do it in like body paint and stuff like that, and she does she will rock out with her cello out, So yeah, Rocktavia, that actually fits. Tina Guo is very avant-garde. Actually, Dusty interviewed Tina on one of his manliest
Brony
or Stay Brony My Friends shows.
Yeah.
So hey, and I think she worked on the Game of Thrones soundtrack too.
Yes, she did.
She played lead cello on that. So yeah, this is Rocktavia. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what we got here. How did Wookie do? Boop, 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 boop. You done just fine. A Trotskyist. Wodka. We with big Vostok rocket going upwards.
I have a bottle of vodka in my fridge.
So we have Lenin, we have Stalin, and we have Mr. I Wrestle Bears with a Bare Chest.
Yes.
I assume you guys have seen Rah Rah Rasputin, Russia's greatest love machine. Rah Rah Rasputin, good video. Let's see. Rocktavia, Cold Silver, Rocktavia, there you go. Anthro Rocktavia. Oh yeah, okay, there you go. Yeah, there you go. That was one that you did.
Yeah, I don't do that thing.
Yeah, works. Let's see.
I also did the vinyl as the violinist.
Oh, Kibera, you do good. You do cute stuff. You do cute stuff.
Yeah,
I like that little kangaroo rat you got.
yeah.
Let's take a look at pros, ambigrams of the CMCs. Ah, yes.
Oh, okay.
Font work, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the stuff that, say that if you mirror it, along some axis, it's the same. So there's internal reflection.
Yeah, the Sweetie Belle is kind of neat.
Yeah.
I like that. So
Yeah,
yeah. Sweetie Belle is really sweet.
Yeah, that's nice work. Did not know you did stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Son of Schleifner. You did a Schleifner once.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Yeah, Cutie Mark Crusaders. There's actual Crusaders. Oh, there you go.
I thought it was amusing that I saw someone did a picture of them in a World War II Crusader tank.
Yeah. And Prawo's up for commissions. Hey, why not?
Yes.
Friendship is manly. Yeah. That was, geez. Trying to remember the artist's name. Does some of the most painful dialogue you've ever seen in naughty comics. Yeah. Kanishi Panda. Yes. That was fairly. That was a fairly quick. As a comeback on. I guess the lag's getting better.
Yay.
But yeah, Kanishi Panda did that, and Once Upon a Time in Canterlot, which I thought was fantastic. That was, martial arts, Octavia, etc. Kanishi Panda, even though, again, the animation, the drawing is still, by some standards, kind of simplistic, really understands, perspective in motion.
Mm-hmm.
Lots and lots of of approaching at angles, and it looks right, and that kind of thing. It's like,
And that's not easy.
that's hard. So apparently has a mind for that.
Mm-hmm.
Too bad it doesn't extend to the dialogue in the naughty comics, because all that dialogue is just, oh my god. Of course, that's just become its own self-parody. But yeah, the Once Upon a Time in, say the two of them, they were fantastic. Defender Derpy and martial artist Octavia, just magnificent. I want to see more of that. Oh, and you're being reminded, speaking of tanks, you never uploaded the Ontos to DeviantArt.
No, I didn't. I loaded that up to
For Affinity.
to Picardo, Patreon.
Patreon, okay. Oh, so it's a Patreon only?
Yeah, I Patreon.
Okay.
Thank you for the reminder.
Thank you very much.
Oh, like I said, I'm kind of busy, and it gets interesting because I always get to these. On Friday, I send Caradwin here the images that we're going to have in the slideshow.
So I can resize them and recompose them if necessary,
and
put on the sensor plushes.
And he has time to do it, so he's not frankly trying to do it on Saturday. Well, this guy doesn't have enough work, so I'm not going to make it any harder for him. And whenever I start doing that, there's always a certain amount going, oh wow, am I going to have anything really to show anybody? Am I going to have enough work that it's going to be worthwhile doing a slideshow? And I start going, oh, there's this piece, okay, and there was that piece, and I did that. And there's this Dreamscape. Oh, and there's this commission I finished. And okay, yeah, I've been a bit busier than I thought. That explains why I have to go to Kelly Paper next week and buy another 250 sheet ream of paper because I've burned through it already.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've been asked, what did you think of the movie?
Okay. Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to break it down to something. The animation was very, very good. There were some spots where they absolutely swung for the bleachers and they knocked it out of the park.
They were going for Disney. They got it.
They got it. There were some really nice 1990s DreamWorks quality stuff. Really, very nice. So that part, really great. Character of Tempest Shadow. Basically, as Kevin said earlier in the stream, the movie is almost basically about her. But as far as the main six went, and Equestria, and world's fastest nerfing of the princesses, I mean, that was like,
That was Warp Factor 7.
Yeah. And it is, once again, Carolyn has made an observation. Megan McCarthy was the main writer of the series. She left during season 3 or 4. She left to do the movie. She left during season 3 and 4. The characters
toxic.
in the movie did not act like the
Seasons
MLP.
like seasons 4, 5, 6, and 7 had happened.
Right. But by this point, I'm sorry, you faced Sombra. You have faced Nightmare Moon. You have faced Discord. You have faced...
And kicked all of their butts.
Right, and you are not acting like that. Also, the fact that they made Equestria look like... once you got out of Camelot, that was the end of the kingdom, and it's a much bigger place than that. Where were the griffins? Where were the bison? Where were the zebras? And that was one of the things actually, as a concept designer, I had a problem with the movie. I liked how they handled the ponies in the movie, and I liked all the other critters that were in the movie, like Grubber and all that. But they didn't feel like they were from the same world. For the most part, with the exception of the Minotaurs and the Draconicus, which we have Discord as one example, or young dragons, which when they get older have to move around on all four too, we haven't seen that many bipedal critters, but everything outside of Equestria was bipedal. And the other thing I have to wonder is that, outside of Equestria, the world was this kind of, wrecked place under the control of the Storm King, who until he shows up, it's like, we don't have any idea about this. Celestia's ruled for over 1,000 years. She's probably got, something resembling a foreign office that can keep her briefed on what's going on. It felt like what they were trying to do was create a standalone project, and if you walked into that movie theater and you had never seen a single episode of Friendship is Magic, you could watch this and go, hey, that wasn't bad, and walk out.
Which is a good goal.
Yeah, it's a good goal, and that can be a smart goal for a variety of reasons. It was a smart move, but it didn't take almost anything from the TV series. It didn't really provide anything from the TV series. I would like to. I'm of two minds. I'd like to see more Tempest Shadow, but I don't think even she warrants being brought into the TV series. I think she might end up breaking some things. And we go on this whole quest to go to find the Hippogriffins. We get to the Hippogriffins, and then that was kind of like a waste of time. You could have spent that time doing some, I think, better character development. I may be being a bit too... I realize it's a movie, technically, to sell candy-colored ponies to kids. Or maybe I'm overthinking it, but I kind of wish they had done... I feel they could have... But I thought the ending of Season 7 was stronger than the movie.
Yeah. The thing is that the base script was written back around the end of Season 3, early Season 4. And if in your head the movie takes place between Season 3 and 4, all of a sudden it makes most of it makes sense.
Yeah, anxious Twilight trying to figure out how to be the Princess of Friendship,
Yeah, exactly, and all these things like Discord is not Fluttershy waifu relationship yet.
Yeah.
And the thing is that we already know that if the Princess Magic gets stolen, Discord gets the screaming heebie-jeebies. We've seen it on screen at the end of Season 4. Mm-hmm. He would have known instantly that something was wrong.
Yeah,
and the Storm King, I'm sorry, it's just a pale. He's basically, he's basically the character of Hades from Disney's Hercules. Personality, and Discord. Discord would have gone in action, but Discord had not happened really, as far as Reformed Discord, by the end of Season 3, early Season 4.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
And anyone who threatens his waifu is going to get, we saw that at the end of Season 6.
Yeah.
They took Fluttershy. It's like, oh, hey, he's genuinely cheesed.
So I think that most of what is uncomfortable about MLP the movie just disappears if you mentally set it between Season 3 and 4. That being said, there's some stuff I didn't care for, but the animation was great, and the design of Captain Cheleno, fantastic.
Yes.
The character of Tempest Shadow, fantastic.
And Emily Blunt did a beautiful job voice acting her.
Yeah, I forget what's her name. Sonata Songbird. Totally forgettable.
Yeah.
Just tacked on because they want to sell soundtracks.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if MLP the movie number 2 comes out, I'm in line to go get tickets.
Oh, hell yes, absolutely. Going to see it in the theater. I may go see MLP in the theater one more time if it's still around, just to support it. I will definitely buy it on iTunes or something like that so I can see it again.
And I will say,
And I really enjoyed the visuals.
and I will say this: the art of book is really, really good, and there was some pretty good, solid concept design that went into it. And you can kind of see where they had some ideas, maybe doing something a bit bigger, but for a variety of reasons, maybe it's a matter of time, they didn't do it, even though it was almost a 2-hour-long movie. So they had time to do a bit more character building than I think they did.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest problem with that is that when the songs happened,
Yeah.
the story, okay, during the episodes, the 22-minute episodes, if you have a song, the story keeps happening during the song. If they don't have, it has to, those 2 minutes during the song have to do double duty. You have to advance the story and present the music. They didn't do that in the movie.
Nope.
Things more or less stopped there during the songs and then took up again afterwards. And the songs are very expository. And that was wasted time. And the thing is, it didn't have to be that way. It didn't need to be that way.
Actually, Tempest did not feel like the throwaway character talk, so I will disagree with you. She felt like I said, she was like almost the focus of the film.
Because all of them but Tempest seemed like. That's what he said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and again, I think the other thing is they just pulled too much. They should have foreshadowed. They knew what the movie script was going to be for a couple of years. They should have foreshadowed more in the series if that there was this feline race, or there was this bigger, wider world outside of Equestria, that this great desert,
Or we've heard rumors of the Storm King at some point.
or of the sea ponies.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically,
but Windshield loved that.
yeah. So basically, the biggest issues is again it ignored so much so much can, but you can solve that just by setting it between seasons 3 and 4. And it was the movie didn't integrate well.
No.
But I will say this: if you look at it, if you came to that movie cold,
It was
pretty
impressive.
good. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's only people who are really deeply involved in say the series like us. We marginal people. Yeah. And that's okay. That's okay. It doesn't have to be for us.
We're not the primary market.
Right.
Yeah. And I will say, oh my, some of the Twilight and Tempest shipping.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
There's one person on DeviantArt who put up a wonderful little 3-panel comic with Tempest yelling at Grubber, prepare my ship.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
oh, that was just...
Yeah, we've never. That's right. We've never been the primary market. We're along for the ride. They've given us a lot of nods, and so by some estimations too much, but I think it's fine. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really glad that movie. I'm really glad MLP the movie happened. There was. I think there was more good than not good.
Yes.
And as I said, I have found a way to reconcile my discomfort with it by, again, setting it between seasons 3 and 4, and 90% of my objections to the story go away. I still don't like, just how severely they wharf, Luna and Celestia every damn time.
Yeah, I would love to see an episode where they play off the. Several cultures have this. But play off the saying that the most dangerous place in the world is to be between a mother and her children. And since all of Equestria's little ponies are effectively Celestia's children, you go threatening them, and suddenly Mom turned into a monster.
Yeah. Best scene in the movie. Say, I liked Captain Shalano. So almost anything involving her. The character design of Captain Shalano was, as far as I'm concerned, if they're going to put a bird into MLP,
And it's not Griffin.
yeah, that's not a Griffin. It was perfect.
Yeah.
She's a great character. I wish they would have done more. They're giving more backstory and tied her back into the story at the end a little bit more than bursting out of the cake and swinging swords. Yeah, I hope we see her again because I think she's a great character. So any scene with her,
I have to admit that my favorite scene out of it, and that's probably a lot of people's favorite scene, though, is the whole scene "Open Your Eyes" with Tempest and Twilight.
right?
I thought that was a very well done, and there was actually some interesting things they did with perspective in the animation. And as that was not easy. I watched my wife animate, and my wife is a really, really nice person. You know, can be quite lovable and everything, except when things aren't going right in animation. Then she can swear like a sailor.
Yeah, welcome to CalArts. Yeah, so that's the worst critic of any animation is a CalArts grad, because it is the most elite school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I will be back in just a moment. My inside is going, you ate too much food earlier.
Well, there. I'll keep people up and going here. But yeah, that's I liked a Tempest. I liked the design of Tempest. I thought, like I say, she's the one who gets the most development. Okay, I'm going to ask a question for folks out there with our Octavia. Do you want her to have the dark hose, which would cover her cutie mark, or do you want these to be bare legs and we're just going to see her cutie mark there on her rump? You guys get to decide. I'll work on something else and then stare here at the chat. Oh, yeah. Carter's holding up the stockings, bare legs, bare. Hey, Furry, is this your first time here? Furry Milo? Dark hose, bare, why not? Showed them legs. Cutie mark fishnet. Bare. Bare. Doing all right, Milo. This is my last drawing of the till 9:30, and I just did. This was the only request I did for tonight, but people asked for basically Octavia in a bunny suit, so that's what I'm drawing. Thank you. All right. Feel better.
I feel better.
And we have Free Milo show up. He's
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Sometimes
Hey,
nature,
Warskunk, join.
sometimes nature calls, and sometimes it shows up at your door with a warrant.
Or Amazon key.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're coming in or going out, whether you like it or not.
Yeah. No, I suspect that season 8 is still going to be Flash because, again, it has to be consistent, and all the show assets are in Flash.
More importantly, they're already working on season 8.
Yeah, exactly. They've been working on season 8 since season 6.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to remain consistent. The movie is going forward, and and Generation 4.5, whatever you want to call it, it's going to be Toon Boom, just because Toon Boom is. Well, it's supported and it doesn't crash.
Yeah, and
it's modern software.
And watching my wife work on Toon Boom, she is liking Toon Boom so much because she's actually getting things done, and that is a great thing. After watching her just bash her head against the wall of Maya. Now, the one thing I would love to see happen finally in season 8 is could we have the CMC have a growth spurt or something like that? I mean, criminy, what are they doing? Are they smoking or something like that when their sisters aren't looking?
They're just underfed.
Yeah.
You only get a half serving of, but I only get you get like a third.
Yeah, a quarter of that.
That's why I haven't grown in 7 years.
Yeah. Yeah, DWK I think nailed it.
Oh yeah, well he usually does. He usually does. Rizanoir, are you new? I think I see a new name. If so, welcome.
Yes.
If not, well, welcome back.
Yes.
Who else we got? Anybody else here? Oh, hey, Tebow, we had your commission up earlier, or your patron
Yeah,
reward.
people really like the Chandra piece.
They did indeed.
Okay, let's see here. I got about 20-some minutes. I can at least start getting some shading in on here.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, let's start working on her.
Get the, say, the bone work in the corsetry.
I have.
Yeah.
Corsets, actually, they don't
Yeah.
wear proper corsets. I've actually learned that there is what they call a body trainer and a corset, and there's a difference. Body trainers will squeeze the tissue, but they are actually somewhat flexible. Corsets have rigid metal boning, and they actually alter the skeleton.
Yep. Is there going to be a season 9? Well, I think that's going to depend upon how well MLP toys sell during Christmas 2017. Hint, hint.
Yep.
Go buy MLP merchandise.
Yeah.
Official MLP merchandise. You know, that you buy at like a big store.
I mean, yes, it's great to buy stuff like this T-shirt I'm wearing. Especially, I got this from TeePublic. I'm kind of happy with this, and TeePublic apparently has a very good policy of supporting the artists who they use their work for. So this is great, but this is an official Hasbro merch. Hasbro doesn't get much from this.
Yeah. So, you know, go down to Target because they have some great exclusives.
Yes.
Yeah, go down to Target and get yourself some of the Poon stuff there. Also, Target's getting away from that pink aisle, blue aisle thing. There's the purple aisle, as it were.
Yeah.
And
Kids play with toys.
Kids play with toys, and coincidentally, that's where MLP is.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Please, sir, I'd like some more orphan gruel. Is it made with real orphans? Yeah. Buy our toys, buy our toys. They will bring us financial joys. But yeah, make Hasbro glad that they did it, and you will see season 9.
Yes.
Actually, in the beginning of December, I am flying back to Providence, Rhode Island. You know, because our company is setting up a data center on the East Coast, and it's going to be about a quarter mile away from Hasbro's headquarters in Pawtucket.
Oh.
Yeah. Maybe I'll see if any of the folks that I've met are like, hey, can I have lunch? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Camera setup. DJ Jambar Samurai. I have a very detailed write-up of exactly what our setup is, what equipment we use on my DeviantArt. I will grab a link here real quick.
It's easier than trying to explain it.
Right, but in short, it's a bunch of Logitech cameras with lighting that is full spectrum. You know, we have some warm LED lights, some cool LED lights. Let's see. Caredwin, DeviantArt.com. We use lavalier mics. It matters. It matters a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So gallery, here we go. Actually, it's in journals. It's in journals. Equip stuff and streaming stuff. Yeah, that's that guy right here. Copy. Paste. If quality, by the way, appears to go down, what's happening is that your bandwidth from your internet service provider is getting squeezed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it automatically cuts down. There you go. So that so that link is so that link is all the equipment that we have there. Let me see. There we go. I will give you a brief tour here. Okay, so actually, I'm going to actually momentarily going to grab that and expand that a little bit so we can give you the full tour here. See, that is the.
See, once again, this is one of the advantages of having someone like Caredwin here. I can just keep working on Octavia, and he can give you guys the tour.
There we go. All right. Okay, that's Baron.
Hi.
Okay, so you notice that, okay, first of all, there's a camera right over here. It's on a little arm, it's a little gooseneck arm. I've got links in Amazon that show where everything is. I don't get any money from it. It's just where it is there. That's a Logitech C615. That's the face cam. That's
looking at you right now.
That guy.
He just stuck his hand in my face.
Right. The overhead cam is on a microphone boom with an adapter. It's a Logitech C920. A good high quality webcam there. We have 3 lights. You have the one that goes side to side there. That's the main light, but it is kind of bluish light. So we have the 2 side lights right here.
Warp nacelles.
The warp nacelles. Those are adjustable in color. They have reddish LEDs and bluish LEDs. We just have the reddish ones on that gives a better color balance. So let's see. Going over here, air conditioner, very important.
Yeah.
Acoustic treatments, which really helps. And all of these curtains here help reduce reflections off of the wall. There's you guys. You guys are right here. We have standard, so that way the camera that say when Baron is not drawing,
We're talking to you.
is right here, so that when when we're talking directly to you, we can read what you're saying right here. That way, the eye line, we're looking at you. That matters. That really matters. Because you don't want to have the eyes going off. Like you're staring off over somebody's shoulder. It makes people uncomfortable. So this makes it much nicer. Over here, I got my keyboards. Yeah, the encoding computer is this beastie right here. It's a Windows machine. Has a whole bunch of USB ports. Really important. USB ports come in pairs. 1 camera per pair. Otherwise, the Logitech drivers will seize up.
Equum Amici, or Amici, are you new? I don't remember seeing your name here before. If so, welcome.
Where's the guitar? The guitar is here. It's a Luna. Yeah, and so yes, it appears mirrored because that makes it the right side and left side correct from a screen point of view. So again, I have the encoder computer right over here. I have another computer tucked down here. That's for this thing. We control the switching of the scenes using an Elgato Stream Deck. I love this thing. We use OBS.
Welcome back.
OBS. Hello. As the software, and this has a built-in interface to OBS, so I can just push a single button and it goes to a different scene. We have a mixing board right here that has the various microphones, and it looks like my mic is just a touch hot, so I'm going to cut that down a little bit. So again, we have some shotgun mics. These guys right here, these right here, but the lapel mics, lavalier mics work out better. So again, we have several mics, and this is the input from the keyboards. So I can go down here, and so yeah, again, that's our mixing board. I really like this mixing board. It's the Xenix X1222 USB. Really good. It's a really good deal. It's like $150. Can't beat it with a stick. So that's the studio.
We always got the Mac Mini over here.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Little Mac Mini underneath.
Which runs this one here.
So Baron can keep an eye on you guys and make sure you behave. And that is the studio. That's our rig.
An iPad Pro here I use for getting reference.
Yep. Never forget the most important part of the setup. The holy sun butt. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The holy sun butt. Right there. There we go.
Okay, what internet connection are we using?
Internet connection. The internet service providers to our house here. We had a choice of Comcast or AT&T. They both suck. So instead, I got a business grade microwave link. I've got a big old dish on my roof that's aimed at a local mountaintop, and it's a business grade internet link. That provides about 50 megabits a second symmetric up and down. The upload speed is really important, and more importantly, the bandwidth doesn't get squeezed just because my neighbors are on the internet too. That's why so many cable-based ISPs are so awful, is because you're sharing bandwidth with everybody else on your block. and yeah, that's not good. So this is business grade. You know, it's a little bit spendy, but it's from a company called Etheric Networks, and they do great work in the Bay Area. And you know, again,
And a good guarantee and good tech support.
right. I mean, you know, if something goes wrong, they call us. So, yeah. Now, there's no way that say an AT&T Comcast merger would be approved. There was a Comcast Time Warner Cablevision was being discussed, but I think that got axed
Yes.
by antitrust. And tentelopes can outrun hyenas. You know, if they don't trip. So
People seem to be liking the Octavia.
yeah. So anyway, as far as how much bandwidth we're using, according to the little green bar on the bottom there, we are using about 1,300 kilobytes per second upload. You want at least 3 times that, you know, basically guaranteed. And of course, there's other members of householders, you know, using the network as well. And we got, you know, several clients downloading at the same time, you know, the various video streams, etc. So we're using a fair amount of our of the available bandwidth, but you know, again, it works great. What you care about is not what peak bandwidth is, but what guaranteed bandwidth is. And Comcast and AT&T will never give you a guarantee, and even if they do, so what? They lied. Yeah. So anyway, that's what we do. You know, it's all in the say that DeviantArt write-up, the exact equipment we use, links to it on Amazon, how much it costs, you know, what sucks and what doesn't.
Yeah, and we run OBS as the general streaming software.
Yeah.
Open source,
Right.
open broadcast software.
Okay, so let me reduce this camera thing here back to normal. There we go. There we go. So yeah, by the way, one of the reasons why we stream at 720p and not 1080p is that 1080p takes up twice as much bandwidth, almost exactly. That's not a problem for us uploading, but one of the things Picarto does is they pass through the stream relatively unaltered, and to the people who are on mobile, if it's 1080p, that can be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Not only does it like, you know, use up all your bandwidth allocation, say that you're paying for, but often, you know, even with LTE4 or something like that, you don't have enough bandwidth. You don't have enough, you know, sustainable bandwidth to download 3 megabits a second all the time. This is 1.2 megabits a second, and it's much more achievable for people on.
Or some parts of the country where they just don't have good, robust.
Horse, it's 720p is 1280 by 720. Multiply that out. Now multiply out 1920 times 1080, which is what 1080p is. That's how many pixels are on the screen, and that's what your bandwidth is related to. So, you know, you either have, so again, 1280 times 720. Or 1920 times 1080. There you go. There you go. Multiply those out, and you'll find that 1080p takes up pretty much double. Yeah.
And part of it is trying to make this experience as enjoyable for as many people as possible.
Right. Yeah. So if you double the say the number of pixels up and down and left and right, and then you're increasing everything 4 times. You know, it's 2 times 2. So it's about 1.4 times as big. So 1.4 times 1.4 is like 1.92, which is, or 1. Is it 140? 1.96, which is again almost double. So again, we're trying to be nice to the people on mobile. Yeah, it's DPI. That's exactly it, Horseshoe. It's all, or not DPI, it's also just the number of pixels on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you double the number of pixels, then you double the amount of bandwidth you need. So, yeah. Yeah, so, and then you add the audio, but the audio is constant. I think we're using 256 kilobit AAC for encoding. Yeah. Yeah. Here's the thing about video. I'm afraid I'm going to get a little bit technical here. I used to work for a company that did live streaming software and hosting. It's a company called OnLive. They did it for gaming. This is before Twitch or anything like that, before Justin TV. And, so I got way into that stuff there. But what's happening here is you look at the screen, is most of the screen, most of the frame is not changing from frame to frame.
Oh, Dimitri.
Hey, Dimitri. Yep. Yeah, Dimitri's upload speeds, video codecs, why 720p is kinder to people than 1080p, that kind of thing. Yeah. So anyway, you notice that, that on a frame-by-frame basis, very little of the frame is actually changing. Just the part around Baron's hand, or, wave my hand over here. The rest of it is static. So that means that instead of redrawing it, or making you re-download it, it just sends a, don't change that chunk of the screen. That chunk of the screen is the same. Just draw it again. So what you can do is get high detail on the changes. If it's something like a movie in which everything is changing, frame to frame, then it uses up a lot more bandwidth, and that's when you see that weird pixelation thing where everything goes into big chunky squares, and that's no good. 400K per second may be a little bit low, but again, as long as the most of the screen isn't changing, just the part around where the drawings occurred and all that, should be fine. Should be fine.
I'm going to got a little thing about just drawing a hint here. Also tip. When I'm doing my shading, I quite often like to actually have my mechanical pencil lead fairly far out. Mm-hmm. Technically it shouldn't make any difference because I'm only using a small part of the contact edge, but it gives a certain, the lead I think is kind of, I'm guessing here, is flexing a little bit, and that gives me just enough feedback that I can control doing my lighting. That's why I can do, this dark shading here, or I can go in, I can do very, very light shading using the same lead. This is 2B lead. It's all I'm doing it by varying pressure and spacing of the lines.
Yep. Yeah. Uh-oh, you just said I-frames, P-frames, and B-frames. Yeah. Say again, no B-frames in live stream, because you have to know what the B-frames is predictive. Well, what's going to happen 5 frames from now? With a live stream, you don't know. Now, if you buffer it a little bit, then yeah, you can get away with using B frames. When they talk about I frames, P frames, and B frames, they're talking about how do you say an I frame is essentially redraw the entire screen. I've lost track. P frames is just deltas, and it's just the portions of the frame that change, frame to frame. B frames are predictive. You can do that with with movies. With live, it's a little bit more difficult, particularly if you want low latency. Back when I worked at OnLive, we had our own version of the H.264 protocol. We did not use B frames at all, and we used a bunch of cognitive science to detect which part of the screen required high detail and which didn't. So we were able to get what looked to be visually very high detail with a small amount of bandwidth. The screenshots, the stills looked terrible, but when it was moving, it looked great, because it was all about how the human eye perceives motion and how the human eye perceives detail. OnLive was cool. The technology worked. They failed because of business development.
Yep.
Yeah. What's the highest quality that we could stream into the blue part of the system in the net? Well, that would be limited by the cameras. We could easily run at 1080p. As far as bandwidth and all that's concerned, we could stream 4K easily. We don't have cameras to do that, and that would completely eliminate mobile folks as potential viewers.
Yeah. And Yeah, it's interesting. I should do another poll again because we haven't done a poll in a couple of years. A couple of years ago, I did a poll. Okay, what were people viewing? And heck, we'll throw it out right now as a question to folks. A couple of years ago, we did a poll saying, okay, what is the method that you are, watching these streams? And at that time, almost to a T, it came back to desktop machines.
Yeah,
Are
well,
folks-
that was before Picardo had the mobile client.
Right. Are folks still watching this primarily on desktop machines, or do we have folks out there who are actually watching this on mobile devices?
Yeah.
Anyone out there in the live studio audience?
Yeah. Let's see.
I'm almost running out of time here. Well, we'll get as much as we can done, and we'll finish the rest when we get home.
Let's see. Yeah, say 4500K in OBS, that would provide you incredible detail, and it would be great for streaming gaming. It would be fantastic for that. I think Picardo, there is a poll feature, I think. I've never learned how to use it, and the thing is, I'm logged in as admin. Baron would have to do, as moderator. I've got Baron's login and password and all that stuff there to set up the stream, but I'm actually logged in and controlling it as my character account, which is a moderator on this one, but it's not the admin. It's not the quote owner of the stream.
Right.
So I think only the streamer can do polls.
Yeah. There's also a poll maker. I should actually do an article just for the sake of it. Just get some information.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that next show.
Yeah,
we'll do that next show.
Yeah.
Latency is worse on the Picardo app. There's a reason for that. It's because when the stream comes up, it's minimally encoded, re-encoded, and then basically it's reprocessed and then sent down to the desktop guys. The mobile guys, it gets reprocessed again. It's basically reprocessed downstream from the desktop feed, and so there's another delay. So basically, you have two buffer chains in the way, and so that basically would double your latency. It would be better, I think, if they just did, it's called transcoding. If they did parallel transcoding instead of serial transcoding, well, yeah, but that's more computationally expensive, apparently. Yeah, well, you're going to be hearing from the laptop people first. Yeah. Laptop, which is, well, again, laptop, desktop,
yeah.
It's the same software.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, probably we're asking whether you're using a PC or some kind of mobile device like a tablet or phone. It has to do with, it basically has to do with do you have good bandwidth available to you? If you're watching on mobile, you're limited to whatever your 4G or LTE download speed is, unless you're doing it with like a Wi-Fi hotspot. And so what Picardo does is they assume that you don't have good bandwidth, so they cut it down. Yeah. Oh, there you go, Kellen. You got it right. What 4 credit card numbers do you use most often, and what's your social security number? We'll just get that from the Equifax dump, so that's okay.
Yeah.
Don't need that. Already got it.
Yeah. All right. Why are we're getting here?
Yeah. That's a good monitor, DJ. We use those at work.
I'm going to get the shoes in here shade. I'll do her legs when I get home.
With a little bow. Which is good because you've got about 3 minutes.
Yeah. I'll get the shoes in, then I'll work on the legs at home.
So since we have 3 minutes, there's something I need to do. Something I need to do really, really quickly.
Oh, we're doing our plug. Oh no!
Oh no! The very last thing, it's going to be talking about these guys. We made a deal with them. We'd plug them every hour, and they'd give them a whole bunch of stuff. Well, who is them? Them is University Art, a high-end art supplies and framing shop with branches in Sacramento and Redwood City and San Jose, California. They do high-end museum quality, archival quality framing. They have handled original Picassos, original Rembrandts, and original Albert Durés. Again, those are all 14th century, 15th century stuff, and of course Picasso is a bit more modern. They have high-end art supplies, very knowledgeable employees who will sell you the right art supply, not the most expensive one.
Because they're not on commission.
They're not on commission, and they are artists themselves. They understand what they're talking about. In fact, we sometimes borrow some of their folks to come on and be guests. You remember Jaya? Jaya is another graduate of University of Art. So is Baron. He worked with them for 20 years.
And they both with me for 20 years.
Yeah, exactly. Patient people.
Yes.
So they have seminars, they have workshops, they have craft fairs, they have manufacturers demonstration fairs. Again, just a great place to get your artwork dealt with and to get your art supplies. So we want to say thank you to them for sponsoring Baron and keeping him well supplied with art supplies. Thank you for loaning us your employees from time to time. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Mike.
Yes.
They sometimes watch. And that's our hourly duty. And we did the thing.
Now why don't we switch cameras now?
Let us do that. I will.
All right.
Do first thing there, and I go there, and then I go here, and then I push this button here.
Beep. All right. There we go. So I guess the $10,000 question is, do you think I should throw that one? Think anyone's going to be interested in buying that thing?
Any of you guys want it?
Yeah.
You want Octavia? There we go. I almost sat on my guitar.
Who's the easiest pony to draw? Tina.
Oh yeah, she's easy.
That's a simple one. But I'm thinking, maybe throwing that baby up, in the e-shop, or unless someone says, oh no, interested, fires me off a note or something like that before then. But folks seem to kind of like that one. So I want to thank you guys all for joining us tonight. If any of you by any chance happen to be in the Los Angeles area next weekend, Caradwin and I and Dusty are going to be all down at EQLA.
The Wyndham Anaheim Hilton.
Yes, it might be the last one. Of course, I have said this before. But we're going to be down there. We're not going to have a table or anything like that. Just going to be hanging out with folks and having a great time. I once again want to thank all my supporters on Patreon. You guys are great. Without you guys, I couldn't do this. If you're someone new to the stream or anything, this is what I do for a living. I don't have a day job. When I get up in the morning, I go in the studio and I create art. And Patreon really does make that possible.
He's at work right now.
Yeah,
By the way, Toxic Jambalaya.
Yep. Yeah, that's basically what I do here. I'm on the clock right now working for you guys. So if you've enjoyed what you've seen here tonight, $1 a month makes a difference. You might not think that it's that big of a deal, but let me tell you, if everybody on DeviantArt gave me $1 a month, I'd be in a much better financial place.
Sunnyside, Babylon 5, it is a serial. Each episode follows the other. Start at the beginning.
Yep, definitely. And if you can't do that, but you say, hey, I really enjoyed this tonight. This was kind of cool, and I kind of like to support this a little more. If you look down in the corner here, you'll see a thing called Stream Tip. Put a buck or two in the jar.
It's like cow tipping, but Baron, and it costs $2 to play.
Yeah. Or if you've liked what you've seen here and you want to consider about a commission, contact me on DeviantArt. Contact me at the Smudge Marks and Ingle Works website. Cat's Paw, if you could be so kind as maybe throw the SMU. I mean, they should have it anyways down there on the information.
It's underneath the doobly-doo.
Doobly-doo. But throw it up there in the chat if you can, please. That'd be great. Can't put coupons in the tip jar.
Anyway, streaming the weekend of Thanksgiving?
Yes.
We will see you the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Yep.
In 2 weeks, we're back on our normal our normal marching cadence here.
Yep.
I don't know, but I've been told.
Yes.
Celestia's butt has son of gold.
Yep. Yeah, we're going to be, Cat's Paw will be down and seeing his folks and everything, but, we'll carry on.
Yep.
And we'll be chock-a-block full of all kinds of cooking. Yeah, think about it this way. If you've basically done your Black Friday, come here and get some Sandy again.
Yeah. Oh, and in all seriousness, if you are in the Bay Area on Thanksgiving and you are an orphan, you have nowhere to be on Thanksgiving, drop me a note on DeviantArt. Maybe we'll have you over.
Yeah. There's always leftover.
For serious.
There's always leftover food. FX Native, I just noticed that. FX Native, if you are new, hi.
Good timing.
Yeah. We'll be back in 2 weeks. We start 5:30 Pacific time. And
Yeah.
no, he has his cutie mark this time.
Yeah,
And-
today is Best Princess Day.
Exactly, and I have some new shirts, so next time we stream again, you guys will get to see a new shirt there too. And I guess at that point, I'm going to wish you guys all a great night, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. You guys all be safe out there.
Bye-bye.
Good night.